Did I scare you? Hold on. Give me a moment. You're scared? Good. Okay. Hello, good morning or afternoon. It's not really morning anymore. It's the afternoon. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing today? Let me fix something really quick. I have to fix this so I can see the Rumble chat as well. Because I'm really bad at multitasking. Hold on now. Okay. Right. Fix that up. Okay, I'm a professional, I swear. Okay. Okay. Cool. Hi, everybody. How you doing? How you doing, everybody? Hope you guys had a good weekend. Sorry I did not do a locals live chat on Saturday. I truthfully I woke up late and I'm like, oop. So that's why I couldn't do it. But I'm here now. Oh, let's see who's in the chat. We got Clarissa. Hi, Clarissa. Hey, Vanessa. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing fantastic. How you doing? Let's see. Still morning here in San Diego. Good morning. Good morning to you, Granny. Do I send you and Saul the bill for my hearing loss after that scream? You know, just send it in the mail. You know, and I'll just throw it in the trash. But you can send it to me. Let's see. Stone Cold's beer cooler. Well, that's a very intricate username. Wow, good question. In order to believe in Satanism, you have to believe God exists as well. What morons these Satanists are. Well, you know, we're gonna get into this, but I will say that there are the majority of Satanists seem to think that Satanism has nothing to do with Satan. And it's sort of like the same logic of someone, like, how would I convey this? It's like the arguments that I have for atheism. My main argument is that really there's no boundaries. Anything is permissible through the logic of atheism. And so people don't see it as bad in the same way Satanists don't think it's bad because they're not actually worshiping Satan. But the logical outworkings of atheism is what leads and will continue to lead to a lot of atrocities in the same way that Satanism, even if you're not doing something in the name of Satan, you gotta analyze what the backdrop of the ideology is that you're following. So I wanted to talk about this today because, and I can already sense there's going to be some atheists screaming in the chat. You know, when you're done screaming, come back here and we can have a reasonable back and forth. But, you know, yes, I see Christian. Did you see SatanCon in Boston? Yes. So SatanCon is a convention that just happened in Boston, not too far from where I live, and apparently it is the largest satanic gathering in American history. Now, I've been meaning to talk about this for a little bit. And it wasn't just SatanCon that prompted me to do this. I mean, if you look really in Hollywood, there's so many celebrities that add Satanism and witchcraft and all of these like spiritual new age occult vibes to their performances. And they're almost like glamorizing it. And there's a lot of celebrities that have Baphomet, which is like the little satanic dude, you know who Baphomet is, just Google it. But they have this guy Satan Baphomet tattooed on them. You know, so it's so interesting to me, and it's why I want to bring it up. It's like, okay, so if we're going to say that God doesn't exist and people are going to completely they're going to brush off the correlations between communism and the rejection of religion. They're not going to see the connection there. If we're going to say that, then you have to be able to also account for why there is such a push for Satanism. Now, this is my opinion on this. I don't know. I'm not very well versed in theology and all the ins and outs and things of that nature. But I look at Satanism on the same level as atheism. It's the same thing. So Satanists think that their Satanism has nothing to do with Satan, and atheists think that there is no God, there is no devil, I'm just doing my own thing. And to me, they're one and the same. They're actually the same exact thing. And we're just playing around with words here. And so because of that technicality, it's like people don't see the correlation. But again, you have to know what you're looking for in order to see that connection. But really, Satanism and atheism is the same exact thing. So we're going to talk about that. But before I get into it, I need to get a little drink because I'm a little bit thirsty. Let's see. Most Satanists are just extreme atheists. Gothix, I'm glad you found God. A certain atheist, TJ Kirk, was an anti-SJW YouTuber, came out, and I said, yeah, I was a grifter and believes in gender abolition and Satanism. And I said, oh, I'm not familiar with that person. Hello all, I come in and y'all talking about Satanism. Oh man. Let's see. What I don't understand is everyone can have a voice, atheists, LGBTQ, but Christians have to shut up and sit in a corner. That's silly. I mean, but that's the way culture is. You know what's interesting to me is, so I'm going to show you some clips about the recent SatanCon that happened in Boston. And I'm listening to some of these interviews of these people, and they're sounding as though they're rebellious. It's like, oh, we are here at SatanCon because we're rebellious and we don't like people telling us what to do. But the ironic thing about it is, if you're an atheist or a Satanist, I think you're closer to conforming to what the world tells you to do than if you were a Christian, because a Christian goes against everything of the world, which is the ironic thing about it. It's like rejecting Christianity isn't as rebellious as someone thinks it is. It really isn't. Yo, I saw Flawed in the chat. What is going on, Flawed? I love your face. How you doing? How you doing, Flawed? I gotta have you back on the channel. You gotta come back on the channel. We gotta talk. When are you free? When are you free, man? You let me know. I gotta get a drink. Hold on a second. I got some kombucha cola. There we go. Excuse me. You better stop. You better stop. I'm looking at you. I can see the cat directly in the kitchen, and he's trying to go through the trash. Boy, look at me. Okay. Excuse me. Oh man. Yo, so I got, is it Artfu over on Rumble. I think I'm reading that right. My vision is terrible. Artfu says, Zeus is a mythical man in the sky. Such a ridiculous notion. Therefore, I'm going to worship Hades. Humans are idiots. That's sort of the logic. That's sort of the logic, man. Okay. So let's see. Wait. Let me scroll up a little bit. Kombucha? Kombucola? I myself am an atheist, but I find it disturbing how people glamorize Satanism. Before 5 p.m. CST. Okay. All right. Okay, let me circle back to you. I'm free every day besides today before 5 p.m. I got you. All right. Sweet, 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 sweet. I'm gonna circle back. Okay. So, I was doing a little bit of a rant before I came on here because I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be very transparent with you guys, okay? I did a long prayer before I came on stream because a part of me gets very frustrated, and the recent sermon that my pastor preached this past Sunday was on the topic of compassion, showing compassion for everyone, even if the people you're showing compassion for don't give a crap about you and they hate your guts. So it's always a constant battle in my mind, and I have to keep praying and leaning on God for that, because man, some days I just get so frustrated with people. And I think the recent video that I uploaded sort of reaffirmed how much I need to instill this idea of compassion in my head, because man, people were nasty in the comment section. And it's crazy to me because a lot of people seem to think that they're, just because they took the red pill, they're very different from the radical left, in the sense that the radical left, they like all this evil stuff and they're in their echo chamber. But then the people getting mad at me making a video about the lack of objective morality in an atheistic worldview, they're calling me names in the comment section, threatening to unsubscribe. Boo boo, you can do whatever you want. But I think the fact of the matter is, which is the most disturbing thing, is people don't recognize that essentially you're no different from the radical left. It's the same type of belief system or the same behavior here. It's, I don't like something that I heard, therefore I'm going to throw a tantrum and run away, which, I mean, it's fine. It's your free will to do that. But, part of my frustration comes from recognizing that there is a solution to the problem that the world is facing. But the issue is that people refuse to look at it through a lens of good and evil, and instead prefer to look at it through the lens of political left versus political right, Democrat versus Republican, Republican versus libertarian, progressive versus conservative. And that is a royal waste of time. That is a waste of time. You're wasting your breath. It's not going to fix anything. Because if you look at it through a political lens and you see all the degeneracy, the just how evil the world is, you see that, you recognize it. Like, we can debate what is considered good and evil, right? Because if you don't believe in God, then your definition of evil is really arbitrary. It's going to vary anyway from person to person, which is why some people believe abortion is morally good and some people believe abortion is child sacrifice. Me, right? I believe that. And so if even though someone doesn't believe in God, they still have some idea of what is good and evil. So it baffles me why these people still are insistent on looking at the world's problems through the lens of political ideology. Because what that assumes is, as long as I vote for this particular candidate, and as long as we get this law passed, and as long as we get this law revoked, everything is going to be okay. I can trust this person in office because he aligns with me politically. That is so naive to assume. That is so naive and foolish to assume that just because someone aligns with you politically, you can trust that person. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. So it always boils down to, okay, you get someone in office that aligns with you politically and you think they're going to save you. How do you know? How do you know you can trust them? How do you know? You really don't. It's sort of just, it's just a luck, right? You're just hoping, right? So you have to look at the problems through good versus evil, but in order for you to effectively do that, you have to at least have some understanding of what is good and what is evil. And long before I ever became a Christian, the common thing that I kept finding when I kept going down the rabbit hole of dictatorships and communism and Marxism, when I was interviewing people that escaped the grasp of Mao Zedong during the Cultural Revolution, the common thing is that they would attack religion. Now, truthfully, what they were doing is attacking Christianity, not religion, but they don't want to tell on themselves, so they just say, let's just attack all religion altogether. But really, Christianity was the common denominator there. Why is it? It's because Christians are following the word of God that does not change. And a communist or a dictatorship, they don't want people following God. They want to be God. So you have to get rid of them. It talks about it in The Naked Communist. It talks about it in Color, Communism, and Common Sense. Literally the second chapter. This is an ex-Communist Party member, Manning Johnson. The second chapter talks about subverting Negro churches. And I reacted to a video. Like 2 years ago, where I was reacting to Yuri Bezmenov. You remember that guy, the ex-KGB agent that was explaining all of the tactics that the Soviet was using to take over America? Do you remember that video? There's a section in there where he talks about demoralization and how once a person has been demoralized, facts don't matter. You can hold it up to their face and it doesn't matter to them. And he said that the reason Americans have been able to be demoralized as quickly as they have is because they have no moral standards. So when an atheist says, I have moral standards without God, what that atheist is saying, I have moral standards that I have created on my own, the standards that I think are good, or the standards that I am prescribed I prescribe to as a result of culture, but it's not objective standards. It's a hunch. It's a guess. It kind of works. I think it does, but it's not a moral standard. And that's what communists want, is they want to be able to manipulate people that aren't anchored by a standard that doesn't change. And atheism provides that opportunity. If you're an atheist, that means you're not really anchored by anything aside from the moral values that you've gotten from other people. And that's the point. That's the point. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm very passionate about this thing because it's, as I said, you can show facts to someone, and if they've already made up their mind or they're already demoralized, these facts do not matter. They don't matter. And I realize that I could be getting under people's skin by making them feel like they're a bad person because they're an atheist. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that your worldview is the exact worldview that communists want. And that should pose some questions. That should really make you think about something. Yo, Kimberly, I appreciate you being a member. I appreciate you so much. You know, it just bothers me because, as I said, there's a Satan con that just happened. I want to show you some of these videos. All right, let me show you some of these videos. So again, for a society to say God doesn't exist and then have Satan con, I'm wondering why. What's the point? What's the point of Satan con if God doesn't exist? Let's take a look at this. Let me go here. Hold on. Wait. How do I get over here? Here we go. Look at this.
Hail Kennedy! Let them continue without fierce opposition, and we stand here today in defiance of their siege and destroy their symbols of oppression.
they're ripping up the thin blue line, which is in support of law enforcement, and they're ripping apart the Bible. What you will notice with Satanism is that Satanism aligns with social justice. There, it's crazy to me. It's really crazy to me that people don't recognize the correlation between why the majority of Christians, Bible-believing Christians, tend to align more with conservatism or the Republican Party, or even if they're an individualist, they still have somewhat of a right-leaning worldview, right? Is they don't see the correlation to that versus why the majority of people on the political left support communism, the same ideology that thrives off of getting rid of God. You don't see the correlation there? Why is it that the political left supports child sacrifice, masquerades it around as healthcare, and the majority of the political right, which is also the majority of people who believe in God, they tend to be on that, they tend to sway that side. Why is it that it's like that? If God doesn't exist and moral values, they can come from wherever, then explain that split. Why is it that social justice, law enforcement, the whole law enforcement thing, let me just say really quickly, I'm not against law enforcement. I'm against law enforcement if the law enforcement is someone who gets their morality from culture. Or is law enforcement that is just following the authoritarian agenda of the government. Then I don't like law enforcement, but I recognize that the world needs help. So we need help. But in any case, why is it that a social justice stance, most people that support that is on the left? And why is it that most people that support God is on the right? Like, why? I don't get it. I don't like biased law enforcement. But look at this. So that's one video, right? Look at this. I don't even know what does this woman say? I don't even know what she said. Let's see what she has to say. The whiny edgelord convention. Kinda is. Let's see what this woman has to say.
Destroy the symbols of the things that are cause harm, that oppress us, whether that is people's theocratic views, trying to instill theocratic rule in a supposed secular society, whether that is the Supreme Court utilizing their powers to decimate our rights, give power to those who are further taking our rights away from us. The symbol of the flag was meant to represent the communities that people in authoritative positions that use that to cause harm to those who need the most protection. They indoctrinate them into their worldviews based on fear and hatred.
We just had our opening ceremony, and it seemed to be very well received. We've got over 800 people registered to attend, and we've got panel discussions and presenters starting probably any minute now.
Destroy the.
It makes me so sad because they really think that they're doing something good. They truly believe they're doing something good. That's crazy. When you rip up the Bible, you're essentially ripping up the moral values that God has created, which include do not murder, do not lie, do not steal, do not sleep around, don't abuse kids. Like, you get that, right? These people are deceived. But again, listen to what she's saying. It's all the social justice talking points. And so they're using Satanism and saying, well, this is taking a stand against all this indoctrination. So they think following God willingly, freely, because no one forces anyone to be a Christian. And if there is a country that does that, I don't agree with that because it's not going to work. You have to come to Christ willingly. No one can force you to believe. This is why I tell people all the time. It's like, listen to what I say. And if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. But don't misconstrue my words as me trying to force you to believe in something that you don't, because that literally defeats the purpose. And that's where you get a lot of people that said, I grew up in the church thinking that it's the equivalent to knowing God. But listen to this one.
Yes. You know what's the sad thing? What I would call a sin? Living the way you do, believing only lies, insisting on lies and repeating. You don't have.
Okay, so he's arguing with somebody. So if you guys didn't know, this Satan Con, there was a huge counter protest that was happening with Christians and Catholics outside. And it's interesting because I saw some of the Christians protesting against the Catholics there too, which is a different story. But there were a lot of people protesting and praying, and there was also a counter convention for believers in Christ in the same city, which I thought was really cool for the same amount of days. But listen to what he just said. He said, you know what I think is a sin? So again, subjective. I think this is bad because what? Because he said so.
You say that. You say I don't. But I do, and you're sitting here, you have no leg to stand on, you have no foundation of truth. I have the Bible and God's Word. This is the absurdity of the evolutionary atheistic worldview. It's absurd, and you choose absurdity over God, and God is not mocked.
I can demonstrate the truth of it. And you know what you got? You got Hansel and Gretel in your fairy tales. That's all.
I have the Word of God, sir. Regardless of whether you accept that or not,
bigoted, superstitious scientists pretending to speak for a magic imaginary man.
that's the highest standard of truth.
No, it's not. The highest standard of truth is what you consider to be true. The truth is what the facts are. You don't have.
The truth is what the facts are. That's very interesting coming from someone that believes that we just evolved over time and just magically appeared out of nowhere. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. It makes me sad. It makes me sad, man. Oh man. I'm sure most Christians know by now, in case it wasn't obvious. I'm sure most Christians are aware that it's going to get really bad. Like, I think you guys know. In case you don't know, allow me to say this so you're prepared and you stay more in the Word, you keep praying, you fast. It's going to get really bad. You haven't even. I really feel for new believers. Like, I'm only a year in, and even when I became a Christian a year ago, it was like I noticed immediately, like, wow, Christians get treated like crap. Like, what is going on? And there's a lot of things happening around the world where, well, I think you guys know it's gonna get bad. So, but the good thing is that we have Christ. The battle's won. It sucks right now, and it will continue sucking. But as long as we hold on to Him, everything will be fine. But I think it's better just to acknowledge that instead of being surprised, because yeah. Whew. I broke it. I broke it. Okay. Let me I have a little back button on my mouse and it exited the stream. All right, let me look at some of these super chats cuz we got a lot of stuff to look at. Let's see. Kelly says, "Hail Satan." Negative. Kelly also says, "Everyone hold hands. Let's bring Satan here with us." I hope you're trolling, because that's not Negative. Satan is not allowed in my stream. Dr. Collaboration says a young man named John Doyle made a video going over the links between the right and Jesus and the left and evil. Worth a watch. I'm going to bookmark that. I want to see it. I want to see that. Let me scroll down. There was, Albatross, thank you for the super. Call it a whiny edgelord convention. Joshua, thank you so much for becoming a member. There was another one, another super. Let's see. That I missed. Oh, wait, maybe I already passed it. Oh, rip. Okay, there was one from Tazy. Have you? Oh wait, I already read that. Never mind. That is the one that I read. Never mind. I'm having a derp moment. I'll have to check it out. Let's see. Okay. Sean C says Aaron Ra, the gentleman in your last clip, gets heated all at times, but when he's doing a proper presentation, he's very level-headed and argues well. I'd also check out, I don't know what that is, Palugla, Forrest Valkaya. Yeah, I watched a few of his videos yesterday. He doesn't seem very logical. All due respect, he doesn't seem very logical. But I mean, and I mean this in the most compassionate way possible. I know it may not seem compassionate, but all arguments of anti-God require borrowing from God in order to make those arguments. It all leads back to God. And like I've said this before, I'll say it again. I appreciate everyone here that doesn't believe in God. And I appreciate you still being here to even have this conversation, even though we walk away in total polar opposites, because that at least tells me that you're willing to take in new information and consider it. At minimum, you know, it's really a shame that a lot of people don't want to even hear me out or hear out other creators that get sick of people talking about God. It's like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying my best to help you before it's too late, man. Man, especially when you read the Bible and you see that a lot of the things the Bible talks about in regards to like the earth dying, okay? And you see how it's playing out right now, especially as it pertains to Revelation, you would think people would be like, hold on a second. Why is this thing saying this thing? And we're experiencing it right now. How is that happening? This was written years ago. And this, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying my best, y'all. I'm really trying. I'm really, really trying. The Bible reads like today's headlines. It does. I'm like, I don't know what else I could possibly. That's just, oh man. I used to be just like that too. So again, it's like I gotta give people grace, because man, I was the same way. I was the same exact way. Let's see. There was another super I just got from Rob. Hi, Rob. It's such a blessing to see someone as beautiful on the inside as they are on the outside. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. God did that. Stay strong and keep up the wonderful work. I appreciate that. This is Mike Dundee over on Rumble says, Marxism and Satanism had a kid. The name is woke. Everything in the news today is at a global level. And that is why it resonates with the Bible. Yeah, man. Let me see. Hume John says the Bible was written by 60 different people over the span of 1,000 years. The fact all the books all dovetail together is, yeah, let me show you this, actually. There's a really good illustration of this. Hold on. Because I think, like, I don't think people, like, when I talk about God in the Bible, I'm not talking about a set of rules, like a philosophy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this as like you taking your vitamins. It's bigger than that. We're dealing with something bigger than politics, bigger than political ideology. Hold on. Okay. Look at this image. I'm going to show you this right here. You see this? You see this image right here? This little rainbow? Each line represents a cross-reference in the Bible. And as this comment right here said, this Bible was written by multiple people over the span of thousands of years. It is logically impossible for you to have a book if it was just written by, it's a fairy tale, written by man, it's a fairy tale, there's no God, right? How is it that there's so many cross references to each other in this Bible? That is insane. And I think this is a great representation, right? And I want to show you something else. Look at this. So there's a part in Revelation that a lot of people, there's a lot of debates regarding the book of Revelation and what the mark of the beast is. But in any case, I want you to consider this. I'm sure most people by now have heard of the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, the One World Government, the one central currency, the digital currency. Everyone, you saw the video the other day of some chick on TikTok bragging about the fact that she has a little microchip in her arm that's going to allow her to buy and sell because all of her information is on there. There's a passage in the book of Revelation that it literally says this, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. So even if we disagree on what the mark of the beast actually entails, it does pose a question to a lot of people that don't believe in God. If you recognize that there is an attempt to get everyone to basically do something in order for them to buy, sell, have a life, it could be social credit system, it could be digital currency, it could be whatever one of those cases are, it still poses the question, how is this in the Bible? If this was written thousands of years ago, how did this come to be? Is God's not real, right? Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Whew. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm spitting bars. I feel like I'm spitting garbage. Like I honestly, I don't even feel like I'm streaming right now. Like I feel like I'm talking to a child, you know, and it's like heed this warning, man. Heed this warning. You know, chapstick, hold on. I can't convince anyone. I can't convince anyone. And I recognize that, but I guess a part of me, you know, I guess a part of me is still like trying to come to terms that some things are just out of my control. Mm. Give me a moment. It's like whew. Man, I care too much. I care too much. Oh man. Oh man. Think of it this way. Here's another way of looking at this whole atheist, Satanist, God doesn't exist argument. Okay? Let's take it from the satanic route. So these people that are at SatanCon, they're talking about how they're rebelling against a system that wants to oppress them with legislation and the Supreme Court and okay. So their stance is God doesn't exist and they don't want people to push religion on them to force them to adhere to a certain moral standard that was prescribed by an imaginary book called the Bible. That's their stance. I've already said this, but no one should be forcing anyone to come to Christ because it doesn't work. It literally, it's useless. You're like cosplaying as a Christian at that point, and it defeats the purpose. So that's the first thing. But no one's forcing these people to do it. But they're taking a stance as a Satanist, and they're like, rah, 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 we're fighting against the system. Okay. People that don't claim to be Satanists and they're on the political left, they're striving for, sort of the same thing. Black Lives Matter, trans rights matter, abortion is healthcare. They're striving for this thing, and they're hoping that, if we just get the right people in office, we do the right amount of marches and virtue signaling, we're going to make the world a better place. And then we also have people on the right that say, okay, if we push back against all these perverts from the Democrat Party and we get Trump back in office and women's rights will go back to normal and yada, 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 yada. They're striving for all of these things. Now I'm going to pose a scenario for you. Let's say in the midst of striving for all of these things, an atomic bomb went off and killed everyone. Tomorrow, let's just say tomorrow, God forbid, but let's just say tomorrow, a bomb went off and killed everyone. Yourself, the people that you love, everyone is gone. So what that means is the effort to get this law and get this politician in office and make these changes to society essentially would have all been for nothing. It would have been for nothing. So as much as people think fixing a law and getting this person in office is going to make society get back together. Everyone is walking around in the world right now not understanding that it could potentially be their last day on Earth. So, as much as you think doing these things are going to help, it would all be for nothing if we all just cease to exist the next day, right? I think we can all understand that we're all going to die at some point. I think everyone here has come to that conclusion that, yeah, death is unavoidable, okay? So, the question is, why not consider what happens after death? So, like, for me, I'm just going to give you my position right now because I don't think I've been very transparent, okay? As I said, I think things are going to get way, 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 way worse. All things are pointing towards Jesus returning more than everything is going to get back to normal. No. Nothing is getting back to normal, my love. Oh, no. So more things are pointing towards that, okay? So if I believe in God, I believe that I'm good. I'm going to be in heaven when I die. Hey, if things go really, really bad and a bomb hits tomorrow, it's going to suck, but it's going to suck for a little bit. But other people don't have that assurance because other people believe that when they die, they're going to end up in the dirt, or that they'll find out if they were right or wrong after they die, which to me, and I mean this in the most compassionate way, is the most illogical thing to consider. Because I don't know what's going to happen when I die, but I believe in God and I have faith that he's going to keep his promise, right? I haven't seen death. I don't know what it's like on the other side, but I have enough faith to believe that that's going to happen. But for other people that aren't even there, they don't think about God, they don't believe in God, it's really a gamble. And it doesn't make any sense. So realistically, if we think about it in the grand scheme of it all, the most important thing that people should be considering in their life, like when we talk about the meaning of life, in my opinion, the meaning of life is figuring out what happens after death. That's the most important thing because it's something that everyone is going to face at some point, some earlier than others. So why not figure that out? Because you can't escape death. You might be able to postpone it, delay it, but it's going to catch up to you eventually. So why not consider what happens after the fact, you know? Because the way that I look at it is this. Okay, let's say if I didn't believe in God, let's say I'm an atheist. And I said, I'm just going to figure out when I die. And I die. Let's say I just drop dead. If I'm right and there is no God, well, I just cease to exist, nothing happens, and worms will eat me, and that'll be the end of the story. But if I'm wrong, that's not good. Not a fun time. If I'm wrong, that is not a fun time. So to me, it's like, what does one really have to lose to even consider that part of the conversation? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like most people right now, I would assume, are stocking up on food supplies, ammunition, firearms, medical supplies. Why? Why are you stocking up on all of these things? Because you recognize that there is a possibility for something bad to happen, so you want to be prepared. So why that logic isn't applied in the conversation of what comes after death is crazy to me. Would you not want to prepare for the potential for something bad to happen? That's wild. And so that tells me that most people that have that position aren't thinking reasonably, they're thinking emotionally. And a great way to figure out if someone is thinking reasonably or emotionally is just to ask them, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? And if they say no, that's very unreasonable to say. Yeah, God's real. I think he's real, but I'm not going to follow him. What? Bruh.
Bruh.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Sean says, why does life need to have some greater meaning or purpose? Even if it's all for nothing, eventually it matters now. Now is what we have, and no. Why does life need a greater meaning or purpose, even if it's all for nothing? But listen to what you just said. That this is one of the underlying consequences of an atheistic worldview is that life doesn't have any meaning. And if life doesn't have any meaning, all that matters is what's happening right now. And if I am responsible for determining my own standards for right and wrong, if I wanted to hurt another person because I'm dealing with life at this very moment, then that would be okay, because ultimately life has no meaning. There's nothing outside of death. So who cares? And let me be very clear about this. When I talk about these topics, I am not saying that atheism would lead people to kill, to rape, to do all these bad things. No, what I am saying is it will lead a lot of people, maybe not you. Maybe you have self-control to not do those things. Maybe you have a good head on your shoulders to not do those things. That's great. I'm happy for you. But a lot of people will do those things. And also, even if you don't do those things, it's still not going to save you. And when the end comes, it's not. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's almost like when people say, I support Black Lives Matter. And I say, well, Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. And they say, no. I don't support the organization. I support the message. Black Lives Matter. It's literally the same thing. Because if I were to use it in a different context, let's say, I don't think whites are superior. Let's say someone says that. I don't think whites are superior to black people. But hey, join my organization called KKK Incorporated. You're literally using a template for something that is bad and then saying that that thing isn't actually bad. Why? Because it's your opinion that that thing is not actually bad. It's like when Satanists say, we don't worship Satan. We don't believe in Satan. But then they call themselves Satanists and they say, hail Satan, and they rip up the Bible. What are you actually following? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. No comprende. David Ward says, I missed your message, David, but I see it over here. It says, we need to meet death with grace. She is graceful. I don't know if she's graceful. Although I find it funny that you're saying death is a woman. Oh, that's pretty funny. Let me see. T Magic says you should watch John 3:16, The Story of Love YouTube video. I love it. Very moving and emotional. I'm going to bookmark that and take a look. I appreciate you. Sarah says, Gothix, thank you for speaking the truth. Prayer is powerful and everyone needs prayer, including those who attend. Satan Con, Christ wins. Christ wins. He does. And I do not believe he doesn't win. I believe he wins. My problem is just ramming that into my brain. I need to pray more. I need to pray more, man. Oh boy. All right, there was another one. Gothix should be our standard bearer for the next crusade. Any artists in the chat willing to draw that? Don't people bring that up? What about the Crusades when they talk about like objective morality and they bring up the Crusades, not realizing that the Crusades were a response to the aggression from Muslims, I believe? Do I have that right? It's like, it's always cherry picking. I don't know if that's, people will cherry pick that photo and say, look. See, I told you she was crazy. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. Oh man. I feel like I've been talking for 5 years. Oh man. This is a very, guys, I appreciate you being here. I just feel like this is a very dysfunctional stream. I'm on something today. I don't know what it is. I just like, I don't know, man. There's a shift. I feel a shift. I don't know what it is. mm. Do 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 do. Hmm. This stream is dark today. Yeah, I don't. What would you like to talk about? What do we want to talk about today? Someone change the subject. I feel like my channel is always dark. I guess depending on how you look at it. Depending on how you look at it, my channel could be dark. I don't know. Let's see. So Doctor Strange is screaming in the chat, 50 million killed in the name of God. You see this chapstick? Right here? You see this? See this chapstick? This chapstick, I believe, told me to kill. That might sound ridiculous, right? Well, it's equally as ridiculous as your statement. So when you say killed in the name of God, if I say I'm killing in the name of a banana, a basketball, this book right here, I'm killing in the name of, right? I'm killing in the name of whatever. What does that mean? How many people kill in the name of atheism? I don't really hear anyone kill in the name of atheism. So what are we actually trying to articulate? We're trying to articulate that even though someone claims to kill in the name of something is really irrelevant. Doesn't matter. So when someone says killing in the name of God, first of all, what God are you talking about? Because I only believe in one true God, God of the Bible, Yahweh. I believe in one God. So I can't speak to other people who believe other gods and what their biblical doctrines talk about. Not biblical, but what their religious doctrines talk about. I don't know what they're say, but for Christianity, I'm really not seeing a correlation here of God telling Hitler, for example, to go out and commit genocide. But if we look at atheism, look at it this way. Look at it this way. Look at it this way. Ready? I'm going to really short circuit some brains right now. Let's say I get two atheists side by side. All right? Atheist A and atheist B. Atheist A believes that murder is morally wrong. Atheist B believes that murder is morally good. Again, atheist A thinks that abortion is morally wrong. Atheist B thinks abortion is healthcare. Atheist A thinks that trans kids is child abuse. Atheist B thinks that trans kids is inclusive. It's a moral right. It's a good thing. The irony about both of these scenarios is that if I'm looking at both of these scenarios through the lens of atheism, both of these people would be right. Both of them would be right. Why? It's because atheism, the morals that come from atheism derive from, as I said, culture, feelings, philosophy, my parents, my upbringing, history, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, it comes back to other people. Always comes back to other people. So if your morals are coming from other people, that means that the morals are subjective. They always change. It's arbitrary, which means that if an atheist says morality is wrong, if an atheist says murder is wrong versus an atheist saying murder is good, technically, by the standards of atheism, they would both be right. And they would both be wrong. Well, technically, actually, no. They would both be right, actually. But you have no way of justifying it. So, and that, bruh, this is also, I just thought of this right now. This is also why a lot of government buildings have been removing the 10 Commandments. Why would they remove the 10 Commandments? I don't get it. I don't understand. Why would you remove the 10 Commandments? Makes you wonder, right? Because again, if Christianity is nonsense and it's not a threat, then why is there an effort to demoralize Christians? Why is there an effort to censor and deplatform Christians? Why is there an effort to prop up Satanism and people that worship Baphomet and Baal? Why is there an effort to do all of that if those things, if God doesn't exist, that means evil doesn't exist? It really is what it comes down to, because God is good. And if there's no God, then there must be no evil. Unless we're just saying that there's only evil and there's no good. It doesn't make any sense. It's not consistent here. Not consistent. Ren and Stimpy? Yo, I used to love that show. I used to love it. Let's see. Shades of Green says, you say morals of atheists come from other people and culture. Can you prove that the morals of the Bible are not made from other people? Can I prove that they're not made from other people? No, I can't prove anything. I can't prove anything. No, but we can put them into practice and see which one works. Like for example, if we just take the first not the first 3 commandments, let's just take 3 commandments, right? Just the 10 commandments. We're not even talking about the other commands in the Bible. I'm just for the sake of simplicity, take 3 commandments. Don't lie, don't murder, don't steal. Okay? And if I have a society of people that don't lie, don't murder, and steal, and don't steal, and I let that society play out for 100 years versus a society that murders, steals, and always lies, which is kind of where we are now. Which society do you think is going to look better? Just based on those 3 principles right there. Just those. So I have no way of proving that those morals from the Bible actually came from God. I wasn't there, if we're going to go with this argument. But I can tell you what a society would look like if it wasn't following those values. So now here's the question. Okay, but all right. So those values work. That sense of morality, that works. That's beneficial. But it still doesn't prove it came from God. I think the point here is something that has such wisdom as the examples that I gave. That type of wisdom, I want to know who created that. I don't think it was a guess. I don't think people say, you know what, this is fine. Let's just go with this. I don't think that was a guess. Yeah. It's one of those things where I know people don't like the personal experience argument, like, oh, I know God exists because of my experience, but really, there's nothing that I could tell people to get them to believe God exists if they've already made up their mind. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have to be willing to look yourself. But if you go in looking for something to debunk, chances are you're going to find a lot of stuff to debunk because that's the lens that you're looking at it from. It's weird how that works, but I truly believe someone that's interested in seeking truth, regardless if it contradicts what they've already believed, or regardless if it challenges them, or even if they're afraid of being proven wrong. I truly believe someone that is in the pursuit of truth will ultimately end up finding that there is a God. It's interesting how that works, but that's my stance. Commies hate religion. Yeah, duh. That's my point. Oh, man. Let's see. You have to get through the dark side to be able to see the light. You have to, man. I just wish, like, I don't know. I wish I was a content creator back in high school so you guys could see how freaking terrible I was. Like, I was so anti-Christian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was so anti-God. I was like, yo, these people are brainwashed. And then and then on the road towards finding God, I was still trying to, like, in my brain, I was still trying to rationalize why everything was happening. I'm like, yo, I started reading the Bible. What? I threw a Bible in the toilet in high school. How am I reading the Bible now, willingly, on my own? No one's forcing me to read this thing. Why am I reading this? Why am I going to church? I hated church. Why? Yeah, I can't force anyone to believe. They just have to. They just have to on their own. Oh, man. Don't be discouraged, young lady. It's in the book. There must be a great falling away before Christ returns. No, I know. My brain is trying to, that's the next battle. The first battle was freaking out because I was black pilled and I was like, yo, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Things are really bad. A lot of people are gonna die. And then I found God, and now I'm not afraid of death anymore. But now the next step is, yo, other people are gonna die. So this is why I say, like, I care. I really care. So it's like, I am assured. I have that assurance from God now, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm okay. But literally, what about everyone else? Like, what about everyone else? I don't. So, and I know it's in the Bible. They're not gonna know. They're gonna reject it. They're gonna think it's foolish. I get it. I understand. My brain is still trying to battle with that. It's like, I gotta accept that. It's not our job to force people to believe. Honestly, there needs to be a lot more. Dust your feet off and leave them. Right. No, I get it. You know what I think it is? I think part of it is the fact that I'm a content creator. You know, it's like, if I wasn't a content creator, if I wasn't a public figure, and I was just dealing with my immediate family, it would be like, okay, they don't believe in God. My friends don't believe in God. It's unfortunate, but I'm still going to be there for them. I'm still going to, answer questions if they have any, and, just leave it at that. Dust my feet off, leave it at that. But I have thousands of people that watch my videos and thousands of people that leave comments, and I'm just like, I know the solution, but you won't take it. So my mind gets invested a little bit too much sometimes, and I think it's like that because essentially I care. I saw a video the other day. I forgot his name. He's a YouTuber. He has like over 1 million subscribers, and he never talked about God on his channel. Never. This white guy, I can't remember what his name is. Maybe you guys know, but off the top of my head, I don't recall. But I stumbled upon his channel, and he made a video about why the world needs God. And he was like, "This is the first video I've ever made talking about God." And a part of the reason that he didn't make the video was because he was afraid of losing subscribers for a little bit. And it was something that he was struggling with. And he finally made this video. And actually, a lot of people were really receptive to what he had to say, at least what I could see. I didn't see all of his comments, but that he got. But for the most part, it looked like people were very receptive to it. And this is a guy with over 1 million followers. And you're gonna start seeing that more. A lot of people in really high places of influence are gonna start mentioning God, and it's not to annoy you. It's not to, beat a dead horse. It's not. It's because we recognize the bigger picture, which is why, when people in my comment section, they're like, "You're gonna lose all your subscribers." I'm like, okay. I wouldn't have gotten this platform if it wasn't for God in the first place. So, and I care more about your soul than I do your subscription. Although I do love your subscription, I really do appreciate all of your super chats. I care more about your well-being. And if I have to be subjected to all types of nonsense and insults in the comment section, then by God, I will gladly partake in that. But I do not care about losing subscribers. Okay. Yo, Rob, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really appreciate you. A Success Marketing and Web Design, thank you for the super sticker. Disco Cobra says, think about it like this. If the founding fathers of America set up the Constitution based around morals and principles found in the Bible, Christianity, if done correctly, can benefit anyone's life. Teaches you meekness, humbleness, patience, and many things. Yes, 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 yes. Now the question is, or the rebuttal is, well, I don't need God in order to know how to be patient, in order for me to be humble, in order for me to practice meekness and all the things. Yeah, you're right. You don't need God for that. But it is impossible. It is virtually impossible for you to live a sinless life without God, without the Holy Spirit. You literally can't do it. So this may not be a problem to a lot of people, but for those who are creating their own standards for morality, they assume that as long as they don't do X, Y, and Z, they're a good person. You hear it all the time. I'm a good person. I'm good. Based on what standards? I think I'm good based on my own standards. Okay, those aren't standards. Those are opinions. and so inevitably, even if someone thinks they're a good person, we're going to end up with the world that we have right now, probably worse than what we have right now. A lot of people that are on the political left, a lot of the people that we would think are crazy and unreasonable and fascist, a lot of these people, they assume that they're good people. They assume they're doing the right thing. And honestly, I believe that they believe they are doing the right thing. But again, when you make your own standards for what's right and what's wrong, that's what you end up with. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to win this battle without God. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to, bust your bubble. But it's literally impossible. You can try, but it's impossible. All right, there was a T-Magic left two super chats. Let me go up and see if I can get it. T-Magic says, there are two parts to this quote because YouTube won't let me put the full passage. Part 1. This is the difference between the power of the creator and anything else, particularly evil, that you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a candle, and instantly that darkness flees. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a fully lit room full of truth, wisdom, and righteousness. Let me give you another example, actually. This is a great way of looking at this. I talk about my friend Graham. He lives in Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, and they say it's like a good balance of like across political lines, conservative and progressive. But from my perspective, someone who was born and raised in Rhode Island, which is a very progressive state, but from my perspective, when I go to Idaho, I see mostly Christian values. Even though they say it's a balance, I see mostly conservative, mostly Christian values. That's what I see. And along with that, what else do I see? I see people smiling when they walk down the street. They say hello. They ask you how your day is. They hold the door open for you. Rhode Island, mostly progressive, don't make eye contact, are very snarky, are rude, don't care about how your day's going, right? In Idaho, you can literally walk into a house with the door unlocked. In Rhode Island, I got 3 locks on my door, not to mention the locks that go to the outside, the main door, that's locked too. We're not leaving anything unlocked here. Nothing. The doors in my car, we're locking that too. Everything is locked. But Christian community, you don't have to worry about that. An actual Bible-believing Christian community, by the way, this is so important. Just because you were born in a Christian family or you went to church doesn't mean anything. That means nothing to me. Are you actually obeying God is the question. And if you have a community that has that fear of God, because they say the beginning of wisdom, or the beginning of knowledge is the fear of God, or the other way around. Knowledge is, yeah, you know what I mean. But if you have a community that fears God, that means that community is going to obey God. And if God says don't steal, then I don't have to lock my doors. I can go to sleep at night with the door wide open and not have to worry about someone coming in and stealing my stuff and causing me harm. Crazy. T-Magic had another one. Part 3. Health, harmony, and universal power. You can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. So let's read the whole thing. Because it was sort of multiple super chats, which, by the way, thank you so much for those very generous super chats. Okay, so the full quote was this. This is the difference between the power of the creator and anything else, particularly evil, that you can go into a pitch black room full of evil, full of darkness, and light a candle, and instantly that darkness flees, but you can't do the opposite. You can't go into a well-lit room full of truth, wisdom, righteousness, health, harmony, and universal power. You can't take any amount of darkness and go into that well-lit room and have any effect whatsoever. I like that a lot. Tony says, enlightened centrists are not allies because their atheism renders them unable to condemn the bad stuff. I really want to call in to discuss. Enlightened centrists are not allies because their atheism renders them unable to condemn bad stuff. No, you're right, though. You're right. I wish I had a call-in number. I could just post the StreamYard number in the chat, but I'm afraid of hundreds of people joining. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it. We'll see. Let me scroll down. Did I miss a super? Let me check. Oh, Kay says, sorry for the stream hijacking. You're not. Oh, there was another super that I missed from Nick Twisp says, let's taco about the Nefarious movie. I haven't seen it. There's no theaters playing it near me. Like none. Like the closest one is like 100 miles away. Which is weird. There's also a super that I missed from Classic Britain that says, so something funny, I played a lot of video games, joined a game, and the owner asked what my pronouns were, and I said I don't have any, and they banned me for being transphobic. So again, when you don't believe in God, your sense of morality is entirely subjective. So for someone that believes that trans women are women and you can swap genders, it is morally wrong for you to state that you have no pronouns or you can't pick your own pronouns or pick your own gender. Oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness. Chrissy, hi Chrissy, thank you so much for becoming a member. There was one here from Cedarman Magic that says, I'm a Tao Buddhist-esque person, so I believe there are many ways to God, plain and simple. You believe there are many ways to God. I'm going to play this clip. I played this last week, but I'm going to play this again because I think it sort of ties into what you just said. See if I can find it. I'm looking for it. Bear with me. Bear with me. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Okay. Check this out.
The world religions, they always gave some credit to Jesus Christ. The Muslims say that he was a prophet. The Christians say that he was an incarnation of the Godhead in his age. Yogananda and all these different Eastern teachers said that he had Christ consciousness. You know, they always use words like Christ consciousness, Christ this, Jesus that. The Buddhists would even say he was a Buddha. You know, he was another incarnation of God like Buddha was. And in all my searchings, I saw that all these people were pointing to Jesus. They're going, well, yeah, Jesus is one of the ways, but we're one of the ways. And they wouldn't all agree on anything except that Jesus was one of the ways. And then I looked into the Bible in John chapter 14, I think it is, or John chapter 6. Yeah, it's 6. Where he says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one gets to the Father but by me. So they all gave him credit, and he only gave himself credit. And I went, well, that kind of eliminates everybody. They all say he's cool, and he says he's the only one that's going to get you there, so I guess I'm safe. So I started praying to Jesus. I did this all through intellectual reasoning and laid it out on the table and figured it out that if they all gave him credit, and he only gave himself credit, and they all agreed on one thing, that he was one of the ways, and he only agreed that he was the only way. So I figured I had no choice but to go with him. And then I started praying to Jesus.
Look how happy he is. Look how happy he is, man. I just can't. Man, he got that Holy Spirit. You can tell. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, man. Let me see. All right, let me, I think I had another super. Let me look really quick. Gothix, maybe play 2-minute Frank Turret vids? That'd be fun. Which one? He has so many. He has so many. Let me go to Frank's YouTube. Well, this is let me just change this really quick. Let me change my screen. This is a channel that I recommend if you are a questioning atheist, which I would just classify that as agnostic personally, but to each their own. But if you are questioning things, I recommend checking out this channel called Cross Examined. And this guy is a Christian apologist, and he has really good videos on like so many different questions, more than I could ever answer, because I'm fairly new myself and I don't have all the answers. But I'm always on this channel looking at stuff. Guys should check it out. Yo, Disco Cobra, thank you for the, again, very generous super. Not to be on any high horse or anything, to the person who said that the many paths to God, Matthew 7:13, go in through the narrow gate, because broad is the gate and spacious is the road leading off into destruction, and many are going through it. Right. Yeah, so if you think about it, like, and this is an unfortunate reality, is a lot of people are going to hell. A lot of people. Why? It's because they rejected God, and God is too loving to force them into heaven with him when they die. If you don't want to follow God, you follow whatever you want, but then he'll respect your wishes. And that is the route that most people take. You know, as I said earlier, there's a question, and I got this question from Frank, actually, the question of, if Christianity were true, would you become a Christian? Now, a lot of people, even after recognizing that there is a God, they'll say, no, I don't want to become a Christian. I don't want to follow God, which it's because they make their choice. They don't want to. They're living it up, doing whatever they want, and there's no reason. And actually, if I think about it, there's a passage, I forgot what chapter it is, but it talks about how really wealthy people, it's going to be hard for them to enter the kingdom of heaven. And that makes sense, because if you're really wealthy and you can buy your happiness, live a lavish life, travel the world, buy all these cars, all this jewelry, buy experiences, things like that. For people like that, it's like, well, there's no reason to follow God, because you're essentially your own God. You're getting your happiness from materialistic things. So what is the incentive? And I also think that's why there is a correlation between people that find God and also them being in a very low point in their life. Like me, I found God when I was so depressed. Like I wanted to delete myself off the planet. That's how bad it got. And I find that this is a common thing, that a lot of born again Christians, they go through a really rough patch and they see no other way out. Whereas if you're rich and you can maintain some level of temporary happiness or an illusion of happiness through wealth, through attention, through social acceptance, there really isn't an incentive for you to find God, because based on your standards, you have whatever you want. There's no reason to. You're talking about when Jesus said that it's easier for a camel to enter through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's what it was. See, you know more than me. That's what it was. Yep. Oh, man. Let's see. Cedarman Magic says Satan is only able to do what God allows. What's your point? I'm not sure what your point is. So do Tao and Buddhists believe in Satan? I'm confusion. Over on the Rumble side, I know I've been neglecting you guys a little bit. How do I read this? The chat is so tiny, man. Hairs, brat. How do I? Hold on. Hasret Brar? I'm sorry. So many Satanists I know are very mentally ill or have experienced some form of extreme trauma. I think that's one of the reasons why they gravitate towards Satanism. Satan uses the pain to destroy these people from the inside out. A lot of them are very angry too, and their anger is a wound that'll continue to fester. Mike Dundee says narcissism is why the satanic point of view is. This is why resentment and oppression are the drugs on tap these days. It is only now that true centralized authority can be realized with our technology. This is why the Bible is so obvious. The mark is as close as next October with digital currency push. That was over on the Rumble side, which you guys should follow me on Rumble if you haven't already. You should. All right, let's see. Scrolling up. Scrolling up again. Hi, Chrissy. Hi, Gothix. Have you heard Hi Ren by Ren? I think you'd like it. I've never heard of this person. Hi Ren? Jonathan, thank you for being a member. Jonathan says, I watched the podcast several proclaimed Christian guests who also did OnlyFans. Ugh. Big difference between trying and occasionally slipping up and living in sin. Yeah. Yes. And this is part of the whole big agenda, is in order to have the globalist one world government, one world currency, communist society, however you want to label it, it's really all the same thing. In order for them to achieve that, they have to demoralize people and subvert Christianity and propagandize it with nonsense. So, and it's a strategic move too, because if I say, for example, following the word of God, obeying the Bible, if we had a society of people that obeyed God, it would be a drastically different society from people who made their own morality based on their own opinion or culture or whatever. And the rebuttal to that is, well, hold on. I know gay Christians. I know pro-abortion Christians. I know pro-trans Christians. And so that's why I say Bible-believing Christians, because if you say Christian, that could mean anything these days. Anyone can just use that as a label, and it's as illogical as me saying I'm a man because I feel like it. Well, how do you know I'm not a man? You check my DNA, you check my bone structure, you'll know that I'm not a man. How do you know if someone's really a Christian? You have to understand and read your Bible to know who is actually faking it. So, essentially, if you propagandize Christianity with the same woke things that Marxists are following today, it's essentially the same as having an atheistic society. It's packaged in a way that looks as though you're following a God, but really what you're following is your own version of God, which is your own opinion for what's morally right and wrong. So when I, as I said, make the statement that a society of Christians would be a lot more structured and unified and nicer than a society of atheists, you'll get the people that say, what about this progressive Christians? And it's like, well, that's not, no, you're either a Christian or you're not. You either follow the Bible or you don't. There's no conservative Christianity versus progressive Christianity. There's just Christianity. That's it. That's all it comes down to. I saw a tweet about a pro-LGBT, pro-choice pastor that got thousands of likes and support. The world is doomed. Oh. Whew. Man, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. That's nuts. Sometimes it do be like that. Oh. man, it do be like that. There's no progressive Christianity. Well, you know, if you think about it, right? Because I had thought long and hard about this, about how far back all of, like, if we're just thinking about like the Great Reset and the New World Order and the digital currency, and if we think about that, and I try to work backwards and figure out where did this all start, you know, because as I said, I've only been a Christian for a year, and I'm looking at the world through an entirely different lens, and it makes it a lot easier, trust me. But if I think back to it, a lot of the problems we have now was a long time coming. Because, as I said in my atheist video, a lot of people will make the claim that Hitler was a Christian. Why? Because he said so, and because other Christians said so. But if you read the Bible, you would know that he was bullshitting. Excuse my language, but sometimes I get very passionate about what I have to say. Sorry about that, God. But you'll know if you read the Bible, okay? So think about that for a second. The framework of so-and-so said they're something simply because they said so, and that is your proof, can be applied to where we are now. So-and-so thinks they're the opposite gender. Why? Because they said so. And then it could also be applied again. So-and-so said they're a Christian. Why? Because they said so. So this is where you get the progressive Christian versus conservative Christian. But you'll know who's actually faking it if you read the Bible. But a lot of people don't. So I had another example in my head, actually. I need some more kombucha. Hold on a second. Diversity and inclusion is another one. I'm sure most people here can agree that the push for diversity and inclusion is insufferable. We already know about diversity. We already know about inclusion. We don't want forced diversity and inclusion. We want natural diversity and inclusion. So if you can nail down this narrative that we must be equitable and we must include everyone from every walk of life into every other thing, which is literally communism, by the way. Everyone's equal. We all do the same thing. So if you can nail that down, you can apply it to everything else. So it usually starts with culture. You see it in Hollywood. Let's hire this person. Let's hire this actress because we're all about inclusion. Well, is the actress good? That's racist for you to even ask that question, all right? This is about equity here, all right? Inclusion. So let's hire this actress because we're all about diversity and inclusion. So we see the effects of it in Hollywood. A lot of movies are terrible right now. They're terrible. Why? Because you're not actually casting someone on the merit of their expertise. You're not casting someone or making a movie based on it actually being a good movie, or a good script. It's just, let's just force as much social justice and political propaganda in here to make a statement that we are diverse and inclusive. And so once you nail that down, it moves over to politics. So now let's get this person in office. Why? Because they're black, because they're trans, because they're gay, because we're all about diversity and inclusion. But are they actually good? Do they have good policies? Do they have good ideas? No. That's a white supremacist talking point. We're all about diversity and inclusion. So now we take that from politics and it sort of goes back, or maybe this is out of order, but maybe before the political part, the same thing happened with the church. So now we need to be more diverse and more inclusive when it comes to Christianity. So what about gay Christians? What about feminist Christians? What about pro-abortion Christians? What about trans Christians? What about that inclusion? Now, the irony about this is that the gospel is for everyone, meaning if you want it, you can have it. It's for free, but it comes at a cost, and the cost is surrendering your old life to Christ. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't get to that part, because if you have the narrative of diversity and inclusion, you go in thinking, you know what? I'm going to get to heaven because God is inclusive. He is tolerant. God is very intolerant to a lot of behavior. He loves all of us. He loves us. We're all made in his image, but there's a method, there's a process to getting into heaven, and you can't just because you feel like it say that I'm a Christian now. So that's really what happened. Is now a lot of people are going to church thinking that they're saved, and really they haven't surrendered their old ways. They're still living in sin. And in fact, they're probably affirming sin, right? Because everything is about inclusion and tolerance and yada, yada, yada. And really what that is it's not Christianity. It's nothing. It's their own version of God, and it defeats the entire purpose. But that's what happens when you focus on diversity and inclusion. And so it started way, way, way back. And this is where we are now. Man, things are weird. The world is weird. It's weird, man. Oh, man. There was another super that I saw. Let me pull it up. T Magic says C.S. Lewis, a British writer and evangelical lay theologian, Christianity, if false, is of no importance, and if true, of infinite importance. The only thing it cannot be is moderately important. Yes! Yes! I love C.S. Lewis. I'm still working through a lot of his works. My favorite book of his so far is the Screw Tape Letters. Bruh. Guys, if you don't believe in God, the Screw Tape Letters, read the Screw Tape Letters. Read that. You may not believe in God after the fact, but it'll give you a lot to think about. Read the Screw Tape Letters. Yo, Tony, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, are you willing to be Catholic? Give an unbroken line of a apostolic succession from St. Peter to Pope Francis? I don't know what any of that is. But I will say this. To me, personally, and again, very new to Christianity, I don't see any reason for me to be a Catholic. Because there are a lot of things that are very conflicting. Like in the Bible, it says, this is how you pray. But then we're praying to like the Virgin Mary. In the Bible, it says, don't make graven images. But then Catholicism, we got like Jesus hanging on the cross, and there's all this idolatry. So I love my Catholic friends. I love them dearly. I don't agree. So, and I'm not part of any subdivision of Christianity. Like, I just follow the word of God and leave it at that. So, I don't mean to offend. Which I'm assuming I think the Catholics will be a little bit, I mean, reasonable for my statement, because if I can upset the atheists with my statements, then, I mean, Catholics. I mean, you know what I mean? I criticize everything. Let's see. Can we talk about the hundreds of thousands slaughtered in the name of Christ? If I slaughter something in the name of the bananas, did the bananas tell me to do that? If I slaughter something in the name of my car manual, did my car manual tell me to do that? So we can talk about this as long as you meet me halfway and explain exactly what you're talking about when you say killing in the name of. I can kill in the name of anything. I can slap someone in the name of God. Did God tell me to say that? What passage? What passage? Um. Oh, Disco Cobra got me another super. Oh, I appreciate you. I'll use the words of Lacey Strum in Flyleaf, who was an atheist who turned to the Bible. Lyrics, I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness. I'm so sick. This is why I will never be a musician, but I'll do karaoke. Oh, your girl can throw down with some karaoke, all right? But yeah, I didn't know. I that's something recent, somewhat recent that I found out is that chick from Flyleaf became a Christian, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome, man. I just heard sounded like there was almost a crash. It was very loud. You guys couldn't hear it, but I heard it. Yo, Chris. Peter was never a pope nor made a vicar of Christ on earth. It's not biblical. Christ is alive and always been the head of the church. You know, oh, you did hear it? Oh, yeah. That happens a lot on this street. You know what the other thing is too about Catholicism, not to, again, I'm just from an analytical standpoint, all right? Emotions aside, analytical standpoint. I see the problem with propping up a human to essentially be the closest thing to God. So if we take the Pope and we look at how much, I don't know about this Pope, but maybe the previous popes, and we look at how many people basically treat the Pope like a celebrity. It's a little bit sickening. So they treat the Pope like a celebrity. And now, especially with this new Pope, you'll hear a lot of people in the media, celebrities, Whoopi Goldberg in particular. She mentioned this. I showed you guys a clip a few weeks ago where Whoopi was being interviewed, and Whoopi says, this Pope gets it. This Pope understands the bigger picture. And when she elaborated, it was essentially, this Pope is good because this Pope is okay with abortion, or this Pope doesn't think that people should be hyper focused on LGBTQIA plus minus. So essentially this Pope is conforming to the patterns of this world and conforming to culture more than the previous popes, which means, think about this for a second, if you're following a person and that person shifts their opinion, it trickles down. So now you got all these other people in the world saying, well, the Pope thinks this is okay, so it must be okay. Now, I'm not saying that about every Catholic. I'm assuming a lot of Catholics don't like this Pope. That's, great that you're logically thinking critically about this. But I think the point remains is that if you prop someone up, and I don't even like when people do this for like presidents or politicians, celebrities, whatever. If you prop someone up, that person is ultimately going to influence the world. Like, just think about, a musician. Tickets get sold out for a Beyonce concert and people are clawing their way to get to the front of the stage, and they're treating this human like she's a god. And she's just a human. So I see no different from that versus the Pope. And that alone is something that I think is a problem, because if we're talking about God should be, well, Jesus, God, top priority, and not Pope. That makes sense. I don't know. I just see a lot of problems with that. And not for nothing. when I hear a lot of people, and I read a lot of comments about, from atheists and stuff, and a lot of people who don't believe in God can't make the separation between behavior and Christianity. And they say, well, Christianity is bad because a lot of people in the Catholic Church have sexually assaulted kids. It's like, well, hold on. I hate that too. I also think that's terrible, but you're not being able to separate behavior from the word of God. God didn't say do any of that stuff. That's someone doing something for their own selfish desires. But it's the point isn't lost on me that frequently people will point to Catholicism to make that comparison. How did culture get so conditioned to point to Catholicism when it comes to that problem? I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. A lot of things. I have questions, man. I got questions. How do I say this? Nosvo Fargo. Gothix, I love you. I'm 16. Hello. See, my shift in voice has changed drastically. Hello. And I look up to women like you and Candace. But with me, I stopped identifying with any denomination. I just read the Bible and follow what God says. Right here. See that? Right there. High five. I'm going to give you a high five right now. I want you to high five the screen. Here we go. Here we go. Right here. Hit it. Hit it right there. Right there. Yes. I also recommend. I think that's the safest bet. Personally, high five, man. That's all you gotta do. I always forget that kids watch my channel, and then I'm like, all right, gotta tone it down for the kids. Oh man. I think there was another. Cedarman Magic, was this the last one that Cedarman says, I do believe that everyone is selective in the proof we choose to use to justify our views. We believe that everyone is selective in the proof we choose to justify our views. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I'm assuming what you're saying is, this is what I think you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming what you're saying is someone that believes in God is equally as selective with their proof to prove that there's God as someone who doesn't believe in God is equally as selective to use proof to prove that there is no God. And I think that both might be true, but both could also not be true. I think that there's a difference between intentionally being selective to formulate a narrative versus using what proof you have at your disposal to make the point, even though it may not be the best proof to provide. So if I were to say, for example, all right, well, who wrote the laws of evolution? Who wrote the laws for science? Who wrote the laws for logic? Because if we're using evolution, science, and logic as means to say that there is no God because we have evolution and science, okay, well, who wrote those laws? That would be me coming to, in my opinion, a reasonable argument to say, okay, well, these laws didn't just manifest out of thin air. It wasn't like Powerpuff Girls and there were like a little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, and boom, we got we got science, but who wrote the laws for science? So I think it depends. I think it really, really depends what we're talking about. I always mess up your name. Aisha. Random info. Chris Tucker didn't do another Friday movie because he decided to go back to church. Yes, he did. And I love finding stories about this because, I don't know if you guys notice, but in Hollywood, you'll find a movie you really like, you'll find a celebrity. It's like, wow, this actor is really cool. And then years go by and then you think to yourself, what happened to that actor? What happened? Where? I haven't seen that actor in a long time. And I think Chris Tucker was one of those where he wasn't as prominent as he was in Hollywood. And I noticed that it's like a common thing that I see are people that either rejected the satanic agenda of Hollywood and refused to be sexually abused by Hollywood, or they turned to Christ, which I mean is kind of the same thing. They're rejecting all of the Hollywood agenda. They turn to Christ, and those people, since they're not conforming to what Hollywood says, they get brushed off and they're like, goodbye, don't want you anymore. You know? I find that interesting. You know who also came to Christ? Man, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but the guy that was in the movie Half Baked, probably know who I'm thinking about. Man, me and stoner movies, listen. All right. I still appreciate the comedic value in the movie, but I forgot his name. I believe he became a Christian too, and he didn't want to do any films that involved smoking weed. Jim Brewer? Brewer? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Jim Brewer? Yeah, I think he's a Christian. I think it's Jim Brewer. No, I don't think Chappelle is a Christian. I don't think he is. I would bet money on it. Scrolling down the supas. Gandhi said he would have been Christian if not for other Christians. That's a terrible reason to not be a Christian. That's terrible. That's so bad. I'm not gonna follow God because other people that follow God are not nice, or other people who I believe are following God are not nice. So I'm not gonna follow God. That has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with him. Wasn't it Gandhi that was suckling on some kid's tongue recently? Is that God? I'm not privy to all of these other people, but not Gandhi. No, it wasn't Gandhi. Who was the other guy? We're still talking about Jim Brewer. That was the Dalai Lama, not Gandhi. Dalai Lama. Or I'm getting them confused. One of them was suckling on some kid's tongue or attempting to. One of them. I'm not privy to these names. Okay. Yo, Bryson, what is going on? God bless Bryson. Thank you so much for the super. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a good one. Llamas? The llamas. Wait. It wasn't the Dalai Lama. It was Joe Biden. I saw Cederman said Joe Biden. Nasty. Oh, man. Chappelle, over on the Rumble side, I'm reading a chat. Chappelle once said he's sort of a Muslim. What does that even mean? I'm sort of a Muslim. What is that? I'm sort of a biologist. Not really a biologist. I'm kind of sort of a Muslim. What? Sort of equals studying literature, maybe. It sounds about right. That sounds right. So you know what a woman is? Well, listen, I don't want I don't want to toot my own horn here. All right. But I sort of have a degree in biology, so I might be able to answer this, okay? It depends. Oh man. That's funny. Yo, comrade Sammy, what we're talking about? We're talking about everything. The beginning of the stream, we talked about Satan Con. I had a little bit of a rant, you know. And now we're talking about everything and getting the Dalai Lama and Gandhi confused. Is Gothix a little drunk over on the Rumble side? A little drunk? I'm just weird. I'm not drunk. I'm drinking kombucha. I'm just really weird. I'm sure a lot of people think that. Like, Gothix must be drunk or high, and I'm like, I'm literally just chilling. I'm chilling, man. Chris says, Encyclopedia of Wars says that out of 1,763 recorded historical conflicts, 121 or 6.8% had religion as their primary cause, picking at gnats. 121 had religion as their primary cause. Another thing that I thought about, because there was someone that shared stats from Google, which, I mean, if you share stats from Google, you're pretty much like, you got a degree in law, you know, you're a historian if you get facts from Google. It just, you, whew, hey. But this person shared stats. I don't know what I can't remember what the breakdown was, but it was illustrating how the majority of people incarcerated are religious. So at face value, that would imply that religious people are more violent or create more criminal acts. But it leaves out important counter questions. The first is, were they religious when they got in jail? Because a lot of people end up finding God, or their own version of God, let me just say that, or becoming religious when they're in jail. And when you say religion, what does that mean? Because we can't put Islam and Christianity and I don't know the other ones. Those are the main ones that I find of people who end up finding God is Islam or Christianity. So we can't say just religion as this blanket statement. So that's the first question is, what do you mean by religion? How many of these people found God after the fact? Were they non-believers before they went into jail? And also, especially now, why are they in jail? Because now, as if you've been paying attention, there's an agenda ramping up to criminalize Christians for holding biblical values. I think we saw it the other day, Mr. Budweiser spokesperson. I don't want to get banned because, you know, I don't want to talk about a protected class, okay? But Budweiser spokesperson, remember this person, made a video suggesting that people should be, it should be illegal to misgender, essentially properly gender someone. It should be illegal for them to do that. So if we're gonna assume that a statistic about people being incarcerated means that religious people are more violent or commit more criminal acts, we also have to take that into consideration. Why are they locked up? Are they locked up for actually following the word of God? Because you're gonna start to see that a lot more. A lot more. Was it England? I believe, I can't remember where it was, but wasn't a woman arrested a few times for praying outside of an abortion clinic? Correct me on the location, but wasn't she arrested for praying? Silently praying? I think I just got a Cash App. Aw. Who Cash Apped me? I don't know if this person's in here. Let's see. Brendan, thank you so much for the Cash App. There was no message. I don't even know if you can send a message. I'm not sure. But Brendan, thank you. I appreciate you. Let me just make sure there's no message. That was in South UK? Yeah. Yo, Cash App has the Illuminati symbol in it. What is this? I've never seen that before. Hi, babe. I'm good. What? You be looking at me? What did I do? I'm in a mode today. I'm in a mode. I don't know. I you know, people say this. I was speaking facts, but I felt at the beginning of the stream I was all over the place. I prayed before I streamed, babe. I prayed, but I was all over the place. All right. I don't know if it was good. This Satan con thing really got to me. I guess in my head I was all over the place, but I'm like, and then of course, you know, there's some people in the chat that are just like, Gothix is crazy and blah, blah, blah. So like, it's like, you guys don't, it's so weird. Like, God doesn't exist. Meanwhile, Satan con, like, logically. It's like someone said in the chat, a comparison. Zeus isn't real. Meanwhile, let's glorify what's the other guy? The opposite? Hades? Yeah.
They're better, but like these crystals are gonna make me feel good. Are you Aries? Oh my god.
You wanna say hi?
Hello. Hi.
I don't know if they heard any of that.
Hi, everybody.
But it was funny. It was funny commentary.
Yeah.
I love you. Sheesh.
Be on next time.
I love you.
I
What
love
you gonna
too.
do? Cheerios. I'm getting hungry. Yeah. Are you getting hungry for food? 3:48. You going to your parents too? Okay. Well, what time are you leaving? I won't be streaming by then. Yeah. Yeah. If you want. You still gonna have Cheerios? All right. All right, fine. Do what you want, babe. Do what you want. I love you. I like how my chat is just subjected to my impromptu small talk with my husband. Jim, No, they're gonna like it because I said so. Okay. No, I think they like you. No, never. I was gonna ask a question, but I already know the answer. I was gonna ask the chat, who do they like more, you or me? And they're gonna say you. So I already know the answer to it. So forget it. Jim says, good afternoon, Gothix. First saw you on You Are Here, and I'm glad seeing your journey to Christ. Praying for Sydney Watson. Two of my favorite arguments for God as the origins of the universe and the origins of life. No, I love that argument, but it always devolves into other stuff. Always praying for Sydney. She commented on one of my comments on one of my Twitter threads not too long ago, and it was about objective morality. And she had a very I reiterated this, I'll say it again. I appreciate when atheists question my stance on objective morality in a manner that doesn't devolve into calling me names. I appreciate that so much. Like, I don't think people realize how common it is to get vitriol from people that don't know God. So yeah, but I'm praying for a lot of content creators. And I would imagine there are a lot of content creators that do believe in God, but aren't comfortable talking about God. Like, even for me, when I started coming to Christ and I started looking at the world through an entirely different lens, it was still like, I guess a part of me was worried about losing subs, and I don't have that fear anymore. Like, I don't want to get banned, but if I do, it is what it is. If I can plant at least one seed and hope that one person waters that seed, then that's enough for me. I'm happy. But people got to get over that fear, I think, you know, in general, of people who already know God but are afraid to speak on it. But I would love to talk to her more about it if she was ever interested. I know some people are weird with the conversations about God. Like, I get it. But yeah, I'm always praying for people. Let's see. Cedarman, I'm sort of chilling. I'm chilling, man. Yo, Bold Reflections YouTube, I appreciate the super. Thank you. There was also another super that I missed, I believe. Let me scroll up. Yeah, I missed this super. Hold on. Where the heck is it? Boy? What in the tarnation? Ayesha says, I don't understand a woman who converts to Islam. Like, Allah doesn't love them. There's no heaven or reward for women. If Allah was God for a woman, there's more reason to rebel than to follow him. I don't know why people do a lot of things. I don't know the specifics of Allah and how it correlates to women, but yeah, I could question a lot of things. Cedarman says, you're crazy, but in a good way. Well, thank you. At least I'm crazy with some type of, never mind. Disco Cobra says, oops, I just received something in the mail that I ordered months ago. I was a hardcore horror fanatic and got a documentary set with hours of content. It's called Search of Darkness. I just threw it out. Oh, well, I guess. Oh, no, I mean, you can at least sell it. Damn. Sell it, make some money. Well, I don't know. Like, I can watch, it's funny because my husband and I have been talking about this a lot. He's a big horror movie fan, but lately he says, like, when he's been watching horror movies, he feels as though he can't sleep properly. Like, it does something to him. So he might be like past that, which is me. Like, I don't I've honestly, a lot of horror movies, I haven't found them even moderately scary. So I'm just like, like I can watch it and just be like, it's a movie. But a lot of people, it does affect them in a certain way. So I get it. I get it. Greek Hades is not the equivalent to Satan. Hades is actually the most chill of Greek gods. Literally, the whole pantheon are terrible and unhinged. Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about that. I thought like Greek mythology was really cool, but yeah. I stopped. After I found God, I was like, meh. After I knew Jesus, I'm like, meh. The other stuff. Bold Reflections has reacted to your depression story on my new Christian commentary channel. It is truly inspiring. God bless you. It's time for Christians to get bold. Get bold. Yo, if that's one point, and thank you for reacting to it, by the way. If that's one thing I can say that I have really, like, when people say, how do you know God's real? It's like, well, because, I mean, if you just look at me, for people that know me, it's like I am so different now than I was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I was deeply afraid of standing for truth. I was afraid of saying certain things because I was afraid of the consequences, the woke mob. I was afraid of, my reputation getting ruined and yada, 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 yada. And following Christ now, it's like I have this new sense of just boldness where I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure about doing this thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it's so freeing, man. It is so freeing. The amount of people that message me asking for advice because they're afraid of saying something out of fear that their friends are going to disown them or stop talking to them, or they're afraid of how people are going to respond. It's like, I just don't have that fear at all. And my position now is say the truth, give the rest to God. Don't worry about how people are going to react. If the truth is the truth will prevail in the end. And even though some people can't handle the truth, it is what it is. Give it to God. That's it. That's it. And that was a big part of my depression too, is believing that my sense of happiness came from the affirmations or the support of other people, and that's so wrong. Jim says, stop watching ghost shows because of ghost demon interactions that happened years ago. Interesting. I like watching paranormal shows. I've always loved watching paranormal shows. When I was younger, I actually wanted to be a paranormal investigator. Like I'm talking like since I was a kid, I'm like, I want to search for ghosts. That was my thing. I wanted to be a ghostbuster. All right. But now I actually like watching paranormal shows because I like witnessing how stupid people are. like think about this for a second. Think about this, right? This is how most paranormal investigations go these days. So our notes say that this house is haunted and this person died in 1802, brutally murdered. Very violent ghost sightings we're seeing in this area. All right, get the Ouija board. Get the Ouija board out. All right? Like logically, why would you do that? It's a very violent ghost encounters. Let's talk to them. Get the Ouija board. Are you dumb? Like, and it's not just the Ouija board that just it shows me how stupid people are thinking that if they just play with these things that they really don't know anything about, like when someone says, "Oh, I do tarot readings," what does that mean? What does that mean? You picked up a tarot card book from the store and you're trying to communicate with something that isn't there, so you're really playing with fire. It's bizarre to me. And then when I watch these shows and see how spooked out these people get, it's like, well, duh. I could have told you. And you know what the interesting thing is almost all of these shows, I have yet to see maybe like one show, maybe one episode of a single show. I have seen someone speak the name of Jesus in these shows when they encounter these ghosts. I've never heard anyone really call on Jesus's name. Their solution is, let's just get the Ouija board, let's get the tarot cards, let's do some crystal balls, whatever I forget how they call it. Let's just go in a sensory deprivation tank. Let's just do all these things, everything but praying and calling upon the name of Jesus. So to me, it's like a train wreck, and I enjoy watching the train wreck because it's like, are you dumb? Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Voice of the people, what's going on, my problematic friend? I'm gonna post a link in your locals about the Daily Wire Crowder thing that I'm seeing play out. I don't want to derail the convo. We can talk about that really quickly because I have a take on that. Let me read some more supers and then I'll give you my take. I was afraid because I was naked. Who told you was naked? Genesis story. Sorry, my brain took me there when you were talking about being afraid. Aha. Who told you that? Cosplays, cons, and cuisine says, I like watching paranormal because of the subterfuge? Subterfuge? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. That demons are actually behind it. Learn about your enemy and use that knowledge against them. Let's see. Okay, so here's my... I think I read all the supers. Here's my stance. Okay, so let me give you a little backstory here. So if you guys don't know who Louder or Steven Crowder is, Steven Crowder is a host of a show called Louder with Crowder. He's the guy that also goes on college campuses with the table that says, change my mind about a particular topic. And he has a debate back and forth with people who are on the opposite side of a particular subject. And Crowder is in some hot water because well, a few things, but I think the straw that broke the camel's back was some, you know what Ring doorbell is? It's like a surveillance camera on your doorbell. I guess his wife released footage of him being verbally abusive towards her. And this was after the fact. Crowder made a public statement talking about how he was going through a divorce, and in this video, he's sort of framing this divorce as something that was sort of not, it wasn't his choice, and he doesn't really know why it's happening, and he was sort of like framing it in a way where he was at no fault. Okay, now prior to this, there was more controversy with Crowder because of his back and forth with the Daily Wire. Essentially, just to give you a summary of what happened with that, Daily Wire was thinking about working with Steven Crowder, and they gave him some type of a proposed contract. I don't know if it was like an official contract, but gave him some type of proposal, and Crowder didn't like what was in the proposal. And so instead of handling that problem privately, he put the Daily Wire on blast and released audio and basically divulged everything that was happening, you know, beyond closed doors. So here's my stance on that whole thing. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that Crowder had done. Here's my stance. how do I word this? I think you people in chat who watch Crowder have the right to know who they're supporting. There are a lot of musicians and actors that just based off of the ideologies that they support and try to influence their fans with, I don't support them. Like if someone is explicitly anti anyone who's conservative and thinks conservatism is the equivalent to Nazism, I don't want to support that celebrity. Okay. So you have the right to know what's going on and choose to withhold your support for any reason. I think my gripe about this whole situation is that we, including Crowder, including other commentators, have somehow convinced ourselves that everything about someone's personal life needs to be put in the public. And I don't like that. And to me, it is no different from when the political left, if you want to call them wokies, when they out someone or expose someone for something that they did in their personal life, it is no different. You know, I do not condemn. I do condemn what Steven Crowder did. I do not support it. I think it's terrible, but it's also none of my business. And there's something very, thank you, babe. Thank you. I love you. There's something very tacky to me about making that the focal point of your content or your news is what this person is doing in their own personal marriage, you know? Granted, if he had just shut his mouth and not mentioned the divorce, people wouldn't have looked into it. That video probably wouldn't have surfaced, right? So really, he brought it on himself by bringing this up. But in any case, even though I condemn what he did, I just find it so tacky that is all of a sudden everyone's business. It's bizarre to me. It's no different from the wokies. Did you see what this person said? Who cares? It's their personal life. If you don't want to support them, you don't have to support them. But making someone's personal life the focal point of your entire brand is freaking weird. It's weird. So that's my take on it. My husband made me some chicken with some green beans. Oh, man. So tired of seeing people air people's relationship drama. It's weird. It's weird. It's crazy to me because people will talk about like TMZ and they'll say like, well, TMZ, that's not real journalism. They're just in it for the drama and the gossip. Oh, yeah? Just TMZ is in it for the drama and the gossip? It seems that most commentators today commenting on the Crowder thing aren't too far off. You know? It's weird. Because the way that I look at it, that's another of many distractions from the task at hand. The task at hand, well, from my perspective, is a battle between good and evil. From the non-believing in God perspective, it's a battle between authoritarianism versus a free country. And what Stephen is doing in his marriage has nothing to do with us. Has nothing to do. No. And again, stop supporting people that you don't want to support. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. Great. But I would also hope that people recognize you're probably supporting someone or something that is responsible for things that directly conflict with what you view as morally okay. So don't fall into the same trap of selective outrage that the left is so known for. Don't fall for it. Um hold on a second. There was one I wanted to click on right here. Well, it shows he's a hypocrite on all he says on his show about marriage and relationships. Oh, it does. It does. Which is why I tell people, like, if we talk about God, for example, and I bring up Christianity, Christians are hypocrites. Okay, who isn't a hypocrite? Okay? Don't worry about what other people are doing. Worry about what God says. So, even though he's a hypocrite, the position that marriage is important still stands, you know? And I know that's what a lot of people, not saying you in particular, but I know that a lot of people are going to take it that route. See, look, Christianity is bad. Look at this guy. He always talks about God and he was so verbally abusive and he's a hypocrite. Okay, well, people are hypocrites because people are people. We can't control people. But God doesn't change. Over on Rumble, I think you'd agree a good husband knows when his wife is hungry, Gothix. Oh, he knows. He knows. I love him. That's why I married him. Voice of the People says, I don't think it's selective outrage. I think the Daily Wire is trying to take Mug Club out of competition. The link in locals ties it in together. I mean, if that's the case too, that's not good. You know, I'm telling you, man, every day, I think to myself, that passage where it talks about, you know, money, or there's multiple passages where it talks about the love of money. You know, if we have a common goal, we should focus on that common goal and have as many different opinions out on the table as possible. And then encourage people to use their critical thinking to formulate what conclusion is the most reasonable, as opposed to taking out the competition. You know, like, there's lots of people that I don't agree with and say the dumbest things, but I'd rather them have a platform to say those dumb things than wanting them to get banned or take them out, or, you know what I mean? It's stupid. Yeah, I find the dogpiling, especially from the self-described believers, is sinful as well. We're supposed to pray and help our brothers when they fail, not stone them in public square. I pray for them. Yeah, I pray for him. Prayed for him. I pray for everyone involved. Like, it just, to me, it's just how quickly people abandon their sense of, especially when it comes to, like, wanting to get the full story of stuff. People are very quick to jump on that bandwagon, but then abandon their sense of humanity in other people, you know? It's like, even like the smashing the mug club thing, like smashing the mug. I like mugs, all right? I used to be sponsored by a beer company. They stopped working with me. It was a mutual departure, but they were very excited when I said I wanted to part ways. And it's, if I had to guess, it was probably because I started to take the red pill and they didn't like my opinions on a lot of stuff. But I used to work with a beer company, and I have cups in my cabinet of their logo on it. Why? Because sometimes I have guests over and they need something to drink. That's why. I don't support them, but if I don't have any clean dishes, they're going to drink out of that cup. It's, to me, it's like a, it's almost, I'm going to say it. Ooh, I'm going to say it. You remember that time when AOC threw adobo in the trash because the CEO of Goya supported Trump? And then all the Latinx people started throwing their Goya products in the trash. You can say it's not the same, but the performative outrage, look at how angry I am, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, man. Crazy. Hmm. I support my legs. They support me. 52 years. Oh, AOC is your leader. If AOC is your leader, God help you. Gothix, sorry for the randomness. Your tattoo on your upper arm, can I see it fully? It looks like it looks cool from what I've seen so far. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. Jim says, one of my favorite songs is Money by Pink Floyd with Crowder. He had kind of sound like it was Years of Issues with not gay Jared and Dave, his wife, but praying for him. Yeah, see, I'm not privy to all of that information. So my tattoo is a very demented cat. If you're into video games, American McGee's Alice video game, the first video game that came out from American McGee for Alice. This is the Cheshire cat. And an interesting story about this cat. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. But an interesting story about this is when I got this tattoo. This is my first tattoo. I was dating someone at the time who was Catholic, and Catholic. Because as I know now, you can claim to know God and not actually follow God. Not the same thing. But this person was Catholic, and I had got this as my first tattoo. And I didn't believe in God, but I had asked the artist to add a rosary to the cat's arm. And I really don't know why, except for, if I had to assume, it was possibly because I either wanted his family to feel like I wasn't getting something that was demented, or maybe I think I've always sort of been drawn to the cross, actually, because even when I was dressing like really gothic in high school, I would always wear crosses, but I didn't believe in God. Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. It wasn't to impress him. It was because I liked crosses. I'm going to fix my camera really quick so I can zoom in. Hold on a second. Why isn't this working? Come on. Wi-Fi. Trying to fix this. You're not working, man. Work. There we go. My camera might disappear for a second. Hold on. There we go. Oh, here we go. There. Yeah, he's an angry kitty. Meow 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 meow. Yeah. So that's how do I get out of here? Come on, man, get out of here. Exit. My face is too zoomed in. There we go. That was my first tattoo. It's an insane cat. Yeah. I didn't know it was smiling. But you know what? I like it though, because I don't regret my tattoos. I don't really regret like any of the body art I get. I don't regret this, my haircut, none of that. Because the way that I look at it, it's a good conversation starter. And a lot of people who would probably think this is really cool looking, like, wow, that's so metal, man, that's so cool. They probably don't expect me to potentially preach the gospel. They're probably like, yo, man, wait, what? You like God? So I like it. That's a good perspective. Yeah, like they never see it coming. Yeah. Like if I was ever gonna get another tattoo, it'd be biblical stuff. All of my tattoos, with the exception of this one, like I have, that's just a heart. The story for this one actually is I was on a walk with my husband and it started pouring and lightning struck a telephone pole right like directly in front of us, and I thought we were gonna die. I started screaming and crying in the middle of the rain, and my husband, my then boyfriend, was just hugging me and he was consoling me and calming me down underneath someone's we literally went on someone's porch because we were in the middle of a walk, and I was like, ah! And this was before we knew God, so I thought, hey, if I die, that's it, boof, kaput, gone. So I got this tattoo, and it literally just reminded me of that time we were walking. You know, it's sentimental. And this is from a video game. Let me finish eating this. And then, how long have I been streaming for? Oh, it's not 3 hours yet. All right, you still got me for a little bit. Still got me. God sent a lightning bolt. Yeah. Oh man, that was terrifying though. I had a bad feeling and crossed the street, and as soon as I crossed, the lightning pole got struck by lightning and it caught fire. Yeah, man. Like, what are the chances? Can't call yourself a Twitch gamer unless you've got at least one gamer tattoo. My husband is covered with all comic book tattoos. He got the Wakanda. I like the not the Wakanda. He got the what do you call that? The Black Panther necklace. He got that. He got Batman, Spider-Man, the Flash. He got everything. You see the rain tattoo often? It is on the outside. No, I don't see it often because I'm not usually doing this. Unless I'm trying to lick my elbows. Can we see his tattoos? Oh, you want him to model? Sheesh. I don't know what he's doing right now. I could ask. Your husband has Marvel and DC tattoos. He's warring within himself. That's funny. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good balance, though. That's good. That's almost like politics, if you think about it. You don't want to be entirely, you don't want to give your allegiance to one political party. You got to go where the truth is. So in the same way, I think you got to go for where the good content is. You know, what's good, what's bad, you know? It means he's based. I'm going to tell him that. All right. Let me see if he's available, and I'll show him. I'll show you guys his tats while I scarf this down at the sink, cause I need to finish it. Hold on. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I got my man here, and he's here to model for you. Okay. All right, sit down. Okay, so here we have a wild Saul. Okay, and if we look right here, yes, we have Wakanda. What kind of tattoo is that? We got. Let's look at this side over here. What's this one?
That's a tribal. This is my first tattoo. Supposed to stand for me and my family. And all this was to be for my Miles Morales tattoo. Katsuki. If anyone knows about that. I hear the Green Lantern. This is the White Lantern Court. I got the Tree of Life around it because it stands for life. Got it. Batman. Flash. Rose. Idaho. Church. And then, let me see. Yeah, the Black Lantern Corps. Got some symbiote venom. And I got like a quote. Because all that is good in me began with you.
Someone said you got DC and Marvel, and it's like you're at war with yourself.
It's true. I like helping you boys just sit here.
Thank you, babe.
It's hot.
A little bit. Someone said, a man's a legit nerd like me. Gee. That's an Eric Killmonger necklace? Is that a Killmonger necklace? He's walking away in stress.
No, it does look like it.
It does?
No, but I mean, it's...
Oh, okay. All right. It's based off the original necklace. All right. Saul is a weeb? Okay, I guess. Would you classify yourself as a weeb? Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. I love you. Thank you for doing that. Okay. I'll ask him more questions later. I stole him from his desk. Just came back. He's a weeb. He's got anime. Yeah, he hasn't been watching a lot lately. I think the recent anime he was watching was Baki. Yeah, watching Baki. Yeah, Baki. Baki Hanma. Hanma. Baki. I don't. I mean, okay, I've watched some. I don't like. I watch show and then I'm done. Then I don't watch anime for like 5 years. Yo, Emja, how's it going? God bless and happy Monday. Happy Monday to you as well. Watch JoJo. I'm a casual anime fan. I feel like I would be classified as that. And my anime feels hard to keep up with. Gothix just over here showing off her man grinning. Yeah, that's all mine. That's all mine. Did you see the clip from the Whatever podcast with the Christian talking about the translation of the Bible? Oh, man. Yes. Isn't it crazy when non-Christians tell Christians how to be more Christian? That's always wild to me. That's funny. Yeah, but I saw that. That was wild. Apparently she goes to church. What kind of church? Progressive church? Progressive church is essentially a community club. Is how I look at it. It's like you go there for your sense of community, but that's it. Yeah, couldn't answer if God is tolerant or not, which I thought was a great answer. Let me see if let me play it, because I thought that was so good. I thought that was excellent. Is God tolerant? I don't know, man. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's see. Yes, here's the clip. Let's play this bad boy.
If you were such a godly man who's turned his whole life around for God, you should learn for a little bit more acceptance and tolerance.
Let me ask you this. Is God tolerant?
I think God made us all in his light. He didn't make any mistakes, right? So if he created trans people, then he did it for a reason.
Did he create trans people, or do trans people choose to be trans?
It was not a choice for me.
You didn't choose to go on hormones. You don't choose to dress this way. You don't choose to identify as a woman. You don't choose to wear a weave. You don't choose to put on makeup and present yourself as a woman. So I'm going to go back to the original question. You said it's my job as a Christian, godly man to be tolerant because that's what Christians are supposed to do. My original question is God tolerant?
I think it's your job to mind your business.
No, my question to you is God tolerant? You projected all of these
I would say God
values.
is tolerant.
In Genesis, it says that when God created mankind, he made them male and female. And in Leviticus, it says for a male to have sexual relations with another man as he would with a woman, that is an abomination in God's eyes and is worthy of being put to death.
How many times has the Bible been translated? How many times has the Bible been translated?
This is correct, is it not?
The biggest thing that we harp on in Judaism is a man should not lie in bed with another man, and then we take that to mean don't.
Do you guys know that that scripture was changed so many times though? Oh, the Bible has been translated. Obviously, that's not a falsehood. It was not written in English, was it? No. Do you know Latin?
It wasn't written in Latin.
Okay, whatever was
Aramaic.
written in. Oh, yes. Okay, it was been.
Aramaic,
my whole point
Greek,
is.
and Hebrew.
Let me finish.
You're
Jesus
trying to educate
Christ.
me on the Bible,
okay,
but
let
you
me
don't
finish.
even
Do
have
it
your
after.
most basic facts
Do it
straight.
after.
You
Let
don't
me
have your
finish.
most basic
Let
facts
me
straight.
finish. What I was saying is the Bible has been rewritten so many times.
False.
It's been translated so many times.
Faithfully and accurately.
The Bible has been translated multiple times, and there is proof and evidence stating that most of those translations from those scriptures, they were actually saying a man should not lay with a child. Oh, we're talking like it's not in the Vatican. There's not. We don't have these things.
Hebrew. I'm sorry, I
know
can't
where-
listen to that false. I learned the Bible in the original language that it was written. I learned in Aramaic and I learned in Hebrew, and it's never a child. It's a man should not lay in bed with another man. And so Jews don't even share beds. Like on sleepaway trips, if we went on overnight, Jews, 2 guys, are not allowed to even share a bed for a sleepover because it's that serious that it also even more so means that you should not do anything gay.
Oh man, what are you gay? Who is gay? You are gay. That's crazy though. Yeah, no, that was based. But that is my point, is when you say that his point where he says being trans is a choice, and they said, no, it wasn't my choice. Well, it's like, okay, but it is your choice to take hormones. It is your choice to do this surgery. It is your choice. It is your choice. And that is one of many slippery slopes that you don't want to be on. Because if you're saying that, because if we're going to go with you're being born this way, if we're saying that you can justify behavior because simply you were born in a particular way or with a predisposition to something, then that can be applied to other things as well. If you say that you have, let's say, take the gay thing. You say, I'm attracted to people of the same sex. And because you are attracted to people of the same sex, you have justification now to engage with them sexually. So if we're applying this born in this way narrative, we can apply that to transgenderism. We can apply that to people who have, who like little kids, okay? Not saying that if you're gay, that means you have an attraction towards kids, but I'm going with the argument, if you're born in this way, it means you are, you have justification to live that out in whichever way that you claim supports that particular narrative. And that's a very dangerous slippery slope. Just because you are born in some way with some type of a desire does not mean that you can justify acting out that desire. That doesn't give you the right to do that. It's crazy that people don't recognize that slippery slope. Yeah. Oh! No, I got a few more things I want to talk about, actually. That just reminded me of something. Hold on a second. Oh, wait. Was I supposed to go? I feel like I was supposed to go with my husband to his parents' house. Hold on a second. There was a... Oh, let me see. You guys see the... is it from the United Nations? Hold on. What was that? Where was that document? Was it the United Nations that came out with a document? Bye, Cranberry. Bye-bye, Cranberry. Enjoy the food. You're not leaving us? Well, I might. Why am I logged out of Twitter all of a sudden? Who logged me out? I might. Hold on a second. See if I can find it. Who logged me out? Twitter, what the heck? You logged me out? Come on, man. Twitter is kind of weird. It's not working. Maybe that's why. I was saying bye if Gothix was leaving. Oh. Well, fine. I guess you're staying. Where is that document? I had it bookmarked, but now Twitter's not working, so I don't know where to find it. Do I have to stay? You can do whatever you want. UN created a doc saying sex with mature minors was okay. Yeah, I'm trying to look for the document because I wanted to pull it up. But I'm like, now where is it though? Hold on. Hmm. Hmm. No, I can't find it. This is very difficult. Oh, it's hold on. Let me see if I can just search it that way. Let's see if it pulls it up. No, that's not it. I can't find it now. Well, never mind. I was going to comment on something, but I can't find the actual document. But pretty much was it UNICEF or was it United Nations? I can't remember. But they came out with something and they were talking about a few things, normalizing sex between kids and adults, normalizing prostitution, normalizing this whole gender identity thing. It was a dumpster fire. Yeah. But I can't. I think it is the UN. Damn it. Hold on. Let's try again. Oh, I think I found it. I think I found it. I'm just looking for that one section. All right, let's put it up on the screen. So this is the oh, let me stop sharing that. Right here. Okay, so the UN released a document. Let's go all the way up. The 8 March Principles for Human Rights Based Approach to Criminal Law, prescribing conduct associated with sex, reproduction, drug use, HIV, homelessness, and poverty. So they throw in homelessness in this document, but their emphasis really isn't about homelessness. And I think a lot of people, when they support certain social justice narratives, they hyper focus on like homelessness, for example. And they're like, well, who wouldn't want that? Right? Who would want people to be living in poverty without a home? And they hyper focus on that. And they totally neglect to look over the other agendas that are lurking in the background. So they sort of use this as like a disguise, right? Under the guise of human rights. So let's scroll down. I'm going to try to do this on the fly because this is a pretty big document here. Hold on. Let's just do sex work. Let's start with sex work. Okay. All right, so hold on right here. The principles are based on general principles of criminal law and international human rights law and standards. They seek to offer clear, accessible, and workable legal framework as well as practical legal guidance on applying the criminal law to conducts in association with sexual and reproductive health and rights, consensual sexual activities, including in context of sex outside of marriage, same-sex relations, adolescent sexual activity, beep, 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 and sex work, gender identity and gender expression, HIV non-disclosure, drug use, homelessness, poverty. Okay, they add that as like a disguise. So let's go and search for sex work on here. Sex work. Okay. The exchange of sexual services between consenting adults for money, goods, or services, and communication with another about advertising an offer for or sharing premises with another for the purpose of exchanging sexual services between consenting adults for money, goods, services, whether in public or private place, may not be criminalized. Whether in public or private. Whether in public or private. So basically, I can't. I think you guys can understand that. All right, so let me find one with kids. Oh, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. No one may be criminally liable for conduct or status based on their gender identity or gender expression. This includes gender identities and forms of gender expression that are perceived not to conform to societal expectation or norms relating to gender roles, the sex assigned to the person at birth, male or female. Okay. No one may be held criminally liable for consensual practices aiming to assist others with the exploration, free development, or affirmation of sexual orientation or gender identity unless there was force, coercion, fraud, medical negligence, or lack of free informed decision making on part of the person concerned, which is already out of the window because we're not giving, I mean, I think now more than ever, there is more information about transitioning and stuff like that. And people are, again, have been demoralized so much that the facts don't matter. So a lot of people are still lining up to get these surgeries done anyway. But I really want to show you the child one. Let me see. Let me try typing it in. Child. Abortion. No one may be held criminal for their pregnancy loss, including a pregnancy loss resulting from obese, I can't pronounce that, emergency such as miscarriage, stillbirth, for attempting or undergoing an abortion. Criminal law may not prescribe abortion. Abortion must be taken entirely out of the purview of criminal law, including or having, aiding, assisting with, or providing an abortion. No other criminal offense such as murder, manslaughter, or any other form of unlawful homicide may prescribe or be applied to having, aiding, assisting with, or providing an abortion or abortion-related medical services. Oh, I think this was it. I think this was it right here. Consensual sexual conduct, irrespective of the type of sexual activity, the sex, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression of the people involved in their marital status may not be criminalized in any circumstances. Consensual same-sex as well as consensual different sex sexual relations or consensual sexual relations with or between trans, non-binary, or other gender diverse people or outside of marriage, whether premarital or extramarital, may therefore never be criminalized. With respect to the enforcement of criminal law, any prescribed minimum age of consent to sex must be applied in non-discriminatory manner. Enforcement may not be linked to sex or gender, participants, or age of consent to marry. Moreover, sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual in fact, if not law. In this context, the enforcement of criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of persons under the age of 18 to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard in matters concerning to them. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? So there was also something, and this is kind of not related here. Well, I don't know. Hold on a second. Let me type in suicide. Hold on. Suicide. No. Okay. So there was something, Michael Knowles commented on this new law that was passed. I forgot where it was. If it was like, someone tagged me in it. I forgot what country it was, but there is a law now that states that if you are, actually, let me see if I can pull it up because it sort of ties into this. Let me remove this and let me pull up the other video. Okay. Let me pull up another video. There's another law that passed. It was Michael Knowles reported on this. Where is it? Where is it? Is it? Ah, here we go. So it's Switzerland. No, it's not. Is it Switzerland? No, it's not. Damn. So there was another country. I'll just say what I remember from it. There was another country that just passed a law that states that anyone from the ages of 1 to like 12 could consent to assisted suicide, which is essentially the government helping you kill yourself. But the terms that the bill was using was like, if someone is going through some type of emotional distress, which really means that if you're feeling like you can't, like, let's say most teenagers feel like the world is going to end, like something's going on in their life and they feel like they can't handle it, they'll start going through all the emotions, right? So imagine a child who maybe has a less pain tolerance than an adult. If they're somehow able to consent to ending their life, they can legally get help from the government to do that. So the reason why I brought that up is because this is a perfect illustration of the slippery slope. Was it the Netherlands? Yeah, it might have been the Netherlands. This is a good representation of the slippery slope. When you legalize this idea of assisted suicide and you say, okay, consenting coherent adults can opt in to be legally murdered by the state if they qualify with these few boxes. They're emotionally distressed, they can't handle it, they're depressed, whatever the case may be. If you make that standard, eventually it's going to trickle down to children, which is the same thing that happened with transgenderism. If you say consenting adults who feel as though they are meant to be the opposite sex can opt in to have this type of surgery and hormones so they can live their true self, eventually it was going to trickle down to kids. And we see that. Same thing with this idea of normalizing the LGB in general, is if you say that homosexuality is completely normal and it is harmful to say that it is abnormal, eventually it's going to trickle down to teaching kids about LGBTQIA plus minus in school, because it only makes sense. If it is human rights, in the context of human rights, if we're saying that we should treat this as something that is normal and we should promote it and be inclusive to this sort of behavior, then eventually it would only make sense to apply that to children as well. So in the context of sexual liberation, if we're saying that we're going to normalize sex work and we're saying that we're going to normalize all types of promiscuity and sexual acts among adults, logically, eventually, it's going to trickle down to kids, which is what we see in this UN article or this UN thing. And I'll post it in the chat so you guys can feel free to click on it and vomit on your keyboard if you'd like. But this is why it is so important to have a moral lawgiver, a moral arbiter of the universe. You cannot get morality from people because the people sitting up at the top can make the decision to say that it is okay for children to engage in sexual relations with an adult. It is okay for children to take hormones and consent to surgery without their parents knowing because they feel as though they are trapped in the wrong body. This is why you need a moral arbiter. I don't care if you don't believe in God, but you have to at least recognize the flaws of having someone in a position of power to make these sort of ridiculous statements. And really what it boils down to is the people at top, they want to be able to live their best life. And in order for them to live their best life, they have to make sure that they can have the legal grounds to live their best life because they're not following the morality of God. Clearly, they're not. What they're doing is they're following the morality prescribed by law, prescribed by social consensus. This is what I talked about in this atheist video, is if you're saying my morality comes from law, then logically, all you have to do is just change the law. If you're saying that morality comes from social consensus, then logically, all you have to do is convince everyone else that it's totally normal to sleep with children. That's what it comes down to. You guys remember the whole Epstein thing, right? You remember how people magically started committing suicide? All the whistleblowers and people talking about it just magically just stopped talking about it? Well, think about it for a second. If the Epstein Island is something that's actually true, and there was this pedophile ring, and a lot of celebrities were involved, logically, the way to stop that information from destroying your livelihood, destroying your reputation, destroying everything about the way that you live your life, logically, the way to evade imprisonment would be to change the law. If you change the law, then there's no reason to freak out when you're exposed as a pedophile because the law has been changed. The social consensus have been changed. This is why I tell people, if you don't believe in God, you don't have to believe in God, but you do not want someone sitting at the top that gets their morality from laws, culture, or societal norms. You do not. That's what you get. It's crazy, man. Y'all, this is crazy. Sheesh. Ah. Lawgivers are lawless. Should encouraging suicide be considered murder? I would say it's an aspect of that. Actually, there was a case a few years ago in Massachusetts, I believe, where a teenage girl got in trouble because she coerced her ex-boyfriend, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember her name, but she coerced her ex-boyfriend into killing himself. Because this person said that he was depressed, he was lonely, and instead of being there for him, she basically enabled it and said, yeah, kill yourself. So imagine if she can be brought to court for that, if she can be held accountable for that, then why is it okay, is it morally okay for the government to prescribe legalized suicide? Why is that okay? Same thing. Why is it okay? Or why is it a good thing to hold someone accountable for killing a woman and her unborn baby? If we say that's a double homicide, then why is it not a homicide when a mother kills her own baby? It's not morally consistent. These things that I'm talking about, they're not morally consistent. Just because it's a law, it's created as a law, doesn't mean that it's actually good. Over on Rumble, Gothix's logic here is ironclad. I don't even know what that means, man. I don't even know what that is. Oh man, I never thought of it like this. All you have to do is build consensus around morality is to convince everyone what you want to do is moral. Bingo! That's it. That's it. And that is my exact point. Again, I don't care if you don't believe in God. I don't care. You can believe in a banana, all right? If you want to believe and worship a banana, boo-boo, I will support your right to worship that banana, okay? But that banana will not and cannot give you objective morality. Okay? You can't do it. It doesn't work like that. Oh, man. Sheesh. Sheesh. Over on Rumble's side, no. Encouraging suicide is not murder. Be responsible for your own damn actions. I agree that we should be responsible for our own actions, but I think that there is some legal grounds to hold the person accountable who encourages that murder. In the same way, the people who are encouraging small children that they are trapped in the wrong body and that they should pursue hormones and surgery, I think they should be held accountable as well. Right? If we're going to get upset at the CDC withholding information about how these vaccines weren't really safe and effective, if we're going to go with this logic, then that logic has to be applied consistently all around. All around. So I'm not going to say maybe it's murder, but that person is definitely not off the hook. It's not off the hook. If it actually, who was it? Was it wasn't there a case, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it Charles Manson that he didn't murder, but he convinced other people to murder? And he got in trouble for it, and I think that's right. He should be held accountable for that. You know, it's like any dictator that comes to power, is it him that's out in a field trying to kill people, or is he convincing others to go and kill? If we, on the one hand, are going to be upset when someone says something hateful and qualify that as hate speech, because hate speech can lead to violence, in the same way that people were analyzing Trump's tweets and saying, oh, because of these tweets, this is why the insurrection happened, right? If we're going to say that, then we have to apply that logic to other situations. When other people say things that could potentially lead someone to do something, it may be their own responsibility, right? It's your choice that you decided to do that thing, but shouldn't there be something else there? Like some level of accountability? I don't know. It's not consistent. It's not consistent, which, by the way, the things that Trump said, I don't look at that as him trying to incite an insurrection at all. That was a stretch. That was a stretch and a half. Don't insult the mighty banana. It is gold and firm. What do you use for the sound effects? I have a Rodecaster Pro mixer. Highly recommend it. It's a mixer. You can plug like 4 mics into it and you can take it anywhere you go, record on the fly. Really good. Highly recommend. Not sponsored, but I'd like to be. Rode, please reach out to me. Graham Wilson in the chat. Banana! Praying to the banana. Worship the creator, not the creation. Agreed. Social consensus is obviously flawed. We have plenty of popular social ills that were once uncommon and unacceptable that are now considered acceptable by way of social consensus. Yep. Hmm. Oh, hey, Gothix, you know what happened with Dalai Lama and that kid? Oh, yeah, we talked about Dalai Lama earlier. I got Dalai Lama and Gandhi confused. But yes, I saw what happened. Yeah. Mm. Much like it, it's illegal to incite violence. Convincing someone to self-delete follows the same logic. Right. Well, and that's the thing. The fact that there is inconsistency in how we apply a law depending on what the circumstances are involving that law, like just because something is legal now all of a sudden makes it okay, is asinine. It is absolutely ridiculous. And that is why we need a moral arbiter. Yeah, and God can only give that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. We need morality. Not from government. Oh, man. Let's see. The Nuremberg trials after the Holocaust were to convict everyone responsible for the Holocaust. Hitler was the man at top, but other people helped, right? I don't know the ins and outs of the Nuremberg trials, but I would hope that that would have been something that they looked into, yes. And hold people accountable, yes. But I can imagine not a lot of the Nazis were held accountable. I can only imagine. In fact, actually, I think there was a story like 10 years ago where an ex-Nazi was living in Florida and people were banging on his door. And I think he ended up facing trial. I think. I'm not sure. Ah, man. Oh, and actually, you make a good point, Cranberry. The moral arbiters condemned Hitler but promote pro-choice and not having children. So earlier we talked about how if you set a standard for adults, you can then use that and apply it for kids. Because in the name of equity, here's the buzzword. If we're saying equity, everyone is equal under the eyes of all this diversity and stuff, right? Or just tolerance, right? If we're saying that everything is equitable and everything is equal, then logically, human rights that are applicable to adults would still need to be applicable towards kids. So if we're saying that a child, let's work backwards. If we're saying that a child understands that they were trapped in the wrong body at birth and they were assigned the wrong gender, and they can consent to puberty blockers and they can consent to surgery regardless of whether or not they have their parents' consent. If we're saying that a child can do these things without the help of their parent, then think about, first of all, how illogical that sounds, but think about the mental gymnastics that goes hand in hand with abortion. We have people who can't seem to agree when life begins. Everyone has their own different opinion, which means that everyone's doing their own thing and nobody really has a grasp on this. I believe life begins at conception. Other people believe life begins when a child can take care of itself, which essentially would mean that toddlers can be aborted. Like, duh. So if we're going with that and in acknowledging how illogical that is, imagine how you could take that logic and apply it to everyone else. So if we're saying that we can't have a firm understanding of when life begins and we're aborting even after birth, there are some, actually a lot of situations where they'll just leave the baby out on the table to die on its own. They won't take care of the baby. So we are now legally allowing death or abortion after birth. Now, how long until we can abort a child at 10 years old? I mean, if we can't agree on when life begins, then logically, eventually, who's to say we can't abort at 10 years old? Now, again, I mentioned earlier, I think someone said it was the Netherlands. If you're between the ages of 1 and 12, I think, you can consent to assisted suicide. Huh. So it may not be abortion. Maybe they don't use that name, but essentially, it's doing the same thing. Is it not? It's still ending a human life. But how do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? That's what happens when we sort of just go based off of feelings. Death by neglect. Yeah, that's what it's called. Death by neglect. Yeah. It's a damn mess. It's a mess. Gandhi slept naked with his grandniece to test himself. He also considered South Africans barely human and would only fight for the rights of fellow Indians. Weirdos. That's gross. But we see how propped up he is, right? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's sick. What is this? Gandhi also believed that a woman's period was the manifestation of the distortion of a woman's soul by her sexuality.
Bruh.
What? Excuse me? Sir? Sir, I need a word with you. What? What the hell? I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because, as someone just said, you know, our president sniffs kids. I shouldn't be surprised. I really shouldn't. But you don't hear anything negative about Gandhi. Aside from what we just heard in the chat, most of the time Gandhi is propped up. Interesting. Really interesting. That's interesting. Sniffer in chief? Yeah. Yeah. Gothix didn't give them the sniff test. Oh, man. That's sick. That's sick, man. Weirdos. All right. Well, today was a very invigorating, rigorous live stream. We talked about lots of things. What did we talk about today? We talked about Satanism. We talked about pedophilia. We talked about child sniffers, which I mean is also pedophilia. Talked about serial killers. We talked about tattoos. We talked about lots of things. Yeah. I like this. I'm gonna go read the Bible now. All light topics. Just the light topics, man. You know. Today was a nice day. It was a nice day. We talked about adobo. We did. Yep. When am I gaming again, Granny? Maybe a little bit tomorrow. I'm going to meet with a friend to get coffee tomorrow. An old high school. We weren't really friends in high school. I didn't know this person in high school, but they went to my high school. And we're going to have a nice chit chat. Nice chit chat. So I'm going to go get some coffee. I'm hoping one day I'll be able to get this person on stream in some capacity. Because I think you guys like what this person has to say. Maybe, I'm not sure. Are you playing Five Nights at Freddy? Bro, I can't play that anymore. I'd say the jump scare games, it drains me. It drains me, man. Why push Satanism? Because the commies can't take over if people simply don't believe. Regular atheists may tolerate our existence, but the core dogma of Satanists is to be anti-God. So it's essentially like anti-theists. I said earlier, I kind of find atheism and Satanism sort of on the same wavelength, maybe with some differences there, but I see the similarities in the sense that they're both rejecting God. But one is clearly more overt than the other. I have not seen One Piece, no. I do like horror games, but jump scares are different. Jump scares is like, I want to just torture myself on purpose, and that's where the jump scares come in. But I like a good campaign, a good story of horror games. I love Outlast. I love Home Sweet Home. I love Alien Isolation. Those are my jams. I love those. Slender Man? I played it for a little bit. It's creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary, though, but I played it for a little bit. I like Resident Evil. There is a new Outlast coming out, yeah. How many people's dumb kids ate Tide Pods because people were encouraging trying the challenge? Should they be in prison because parents' dumb kids did it? Well, plenty of people saw it and didn't do it. Oh, you just reminded me of something before I go. The slippery slope, where we're talking about the slippery slope about taking something and logically applying that to a different situation, even though the situation is kind of the same. Okay? There is a push to ban TikTok. Now, a couple of years ago, I would have said, yeah, ban TikTok. It's driving people crazy. Ban it. But I think that is a bad idea. Okay? We have to remember, I know I'm going to go on a tangent here, I'm sorry. We have to remember that a lot of the movements or social justice causes that people latch onto are causes that really can be resolved without government help, without having the government intervene. So, for example, abortion, for the most part, we're not talking about the 1% of rape cases, which even in that case, I still don't believe the solution to sexual assault is to murder the child. That doesn't make any sense. But even in the even in the situation of rape, for example, we have the ability to fix that problem, the problem of abortion, right? And the solution is Don't have sex. That's the solution. But people lack self-control. So what happens is we say, okay, government, we need you. We need you because we want to abort our babies. We need you now. So we have the ability to deal with the abortion topic, but we choose not to because it's inconvenient to our lives. We can say the same thing about the trans rights. We have the tools necessary to end this conversation about trans rights. We have the ability to say, okay, even though you may be suffering psychologically or spiritually and you think you're trapped in the wrong body, the solution is to learn to accept yourself. More therapy, seek God. That's how you fix it. But instead, because that process is inconvenient, we demand that the government comes in and they help us. So the same thing, again, can be applied to this situation of the internet. We recognize that a lot of young kids are getting brainwashed by the internet. And instead of utilizing our resources right now, meaning parents be more proactive and encourage your children to not be on the internet for 8 hours a day, put parental controls on your child's internet, not letting them just be scrolling all day while they're at school or they're in their bedroom, right? We have that, but because that method is inconvenient, we then say, government, come in and fix everything. And so if we recognize that there is a slippery slope to having these types of, to having more government control, that's the last thing you want to do is say, government, create more legislation around social media use for kids, because eventually it's going to be applied to adults. Eventually it will. So don't think this is just to protect kids and their mental health. No. We have all the tools necessary to stop a child from being online all the time. We have the tools. Parents, be more proactive. Stop thinking that the government is responsible to raise your child. Like, stop it. Stop. Okay? Because that's what it's going to end up with. We're going to end up creating laws to block out certain websites for people and for all ages, and it starts with kids. So yeah, don't do that. Yeah. Oh, the government banning TikTok doesn't stop the issue of brainwashing because the government is all about brainwashing. Exactly. Think about this in China, because the Chinese government is just so good, right? No, in China, Chinese citizens have to use VPNs to access certain websites because the Chinese government dictates what websites they can use. And the Chinese government also controls the flow of information to their citizens. So a lot of the Chinese population don't even really know what's going on outside of China because the government controls the flow of information. So stop that. Stop waiting for the government to fix your problems because the government's going to make it worse. I'm not just talking about the bill banning TikTok. I was at the movie theaters the other day and there was a Dove commercial. And the Dove commercial was showing a compilation of a teenage girl that was given a cell phone when she turned like 13, and she used to be so happy and so vibrant, and then after she started being on social media, she started to develop body issues, body dysmorphia. She used to think that she was fat and all of these like self-confidence issues. And at the end of this compilation, they were talking about how the social media has big consequences on the psyche of children, and that we need the government's help to fix that problem. So it's not just TikTok. I don't want to make this just about TikTok. I'm saying in general, the idea of pursuing legislation to minimize the amount of mental health issues that is a consequence of kids being online all the time is ridiculous, and we should not allow it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, but anyways, I've been chatting for a little bit, so I'm going to go now. Guys, it was a great time hanging out with you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Yeah, I might play some games tomorrow. We'll see. I'm not sure what time. Depends on when I'm done with my coffee. But if you want to support me, you can do so by follow me on Locals, gothix.locals.com. You can also just hit the subscribe button and share this video. Give it a thumbs up. That would help me greatly. If you want to stay up to date on the Gothix documentary, here's the link. You got to type it into the browser. I got the teaser trailer up there. We have another trailer coming out hopefully soon, but you can go to this link and sign up to get notified. But yeah, I love your faces, everyone. I'm going to go do Gothix things, whatever those things are. But yeah, I love your face, and I will talk to you next time. Wait, what about hugs? I would hug you, but you're too far? I'd hug you too. A new trailer is done? Oh, sheesh. All right, now I gotta go because I'm clearly on Black people time and I'm prolonging this. Goodbyes are so difficult for me. Bye over on Rumble. Thank you for watching. I love your faces. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.